Great day for football in Alliance, Ohio, and also in Wisconsin at Perkins Stadium later on. But we're not going to be talking too much about that game instantly here. Maybe eventually we will be. It's our semifinal watch party here on In the Huddle. And JB, we are joined by an elite group here, although Nate Milne couldn't make it, so there would have been the real elite part of it. Scott Donaldson is already laughing at that one. Will Bellamy, Union College quarterback. Scott Donaldson, Heidelberg head coach. Pat Coleman, D3Football.com. And guys, we're going to basically in real time for folks at home or wherever they may be today, talk about this semifinal game and, even to go a little anecdotal, think Peyton and Eli on ESPN2 during Monday Night Football. That's our aim here a little bit of a watch party. We're going to have live Twitch comments and chat as well that we'll read off. And if you have questions and stuff, let us know. But JB, I'll let you kind of go around the horn here with our esteemed panel here, and let's go. Let's do this.
All right. Well, I'll start off with a QB because that's an interesting storyline in this game. So, Will, you got a freshman quarterback taking on, a junior, but was really a first year, kind of sophomore starter. What was it like for you? And you had, some of your first playoff starts as a younger QB. And what do you think is kind of going through their minds right now as the game's about to get underway?
Yeah, playing quarterback and leading your team in an environment like this, it's a ton of fun. I think Luke Lennon, he has the ability to be led by guys like Andrew Kaminsky and Blake Williams. They've kind of taken him under their wing. And he's done it. You watch him in their first playoff game, and last week against RPI, just absolutely efficient. He leads the country in efficiency. He's very cool and collected back there. And then on the other hand, you look at Braxton Plunk, who has a plethora of weapons between Josh Petrocelli, DeAndre Parker, guys like Derek Harvey, Wayne Ruby, and Jalen Manley. When you have athletes like that with you on the field, it just gives you confidence as a quarterback. And I think both of these guys, if they can get the run game going and their offensive line can get some push, it's going to take a lot of pressure off of them and allow them to make plays when needed.
Yeah. Coach Donaldson, you've played against Mount Union twice this year. In game planning for an offense this explosive, is this one of those deals where you want to try to run the ball, keep Plunk off the field and try to get the time of possession advantage? How do you game plan for a team that can put up so many points?
Well, you also got to think about what you're good at as a team, and what North Central's good at as a team. A little different than us. We were a little more of an explosive offense, trying to be an explosive offense, fast-paced offense, and what we didn't want to do was try to be someone different than what we were. We wanted to be us because that's the only chance we have at playing such an elite team like Mount Union. So it was a little bit different for us, you know what I mean? North Central can run the ball, and they can run it well, so they have the ability to keep Plunk off the field, keep Petro off the field. I would assume they could do that. We weren't going to be able to run, and run for first downs against them. So a little bit different, but I expect to see it's a great defensive game plan is making sure Braxton Plunk doesn't touch the ball for more than 62 plays. I can promise
Pat, from a broadcast perspective, we have Michael Reggie back doing a D3 game, so at least we've got a familiar face announcing this game for ESPN Plus. And it's always great to see this on ESPN Plus, although I have a feeling a lot of people are having some trouble logging in today and everything else, so we'll keep people abreast of what to do if you can't join us for that purpose, I guess. But what are your thoughts here? I was in Alliance last week. You were there a couple of years ago, I believe, for this game. Yeah. So tell us your memories of that game.
Well, oh gosh, first off, of course, you've got, Brock Rudder in that game, and this is going to be a completely different game, right? But you just kind of knew that that game was going to continue to go back and forth, right? North Central comes in with a lot more confidence now this time around because they've won that game. They had a close semifinal, that is now about a decade ago. But, I really think that, teams that have never come to Alliance and performed well sometimes come in and just give up 14, 21 points just out of the sense of awe. So I'll be interested to see, that it's not going to happen today and might not happen as much. I mean, I think that intimidation factor as the seasons progress might be less and less as things go, but definitely not for North Central. They're going to come in ready to go. And I just want to get Michael Ray guy, former Baltimore Orioles broadcaster, longtime Cleveland Cavaliers guy, has done a lot of these semifinals out of Alliance. So at the very least, he knows how to get there.
That's a good point, actually. I remember he's done the halftime interview a couple times back, I think even in the Larry Karras days, I want to say he did one of those back when for ESPN3 at the time. So let's start off right away here. We can see the tee is causing issues because the wind is fierce, worse than last week, which is pretty bad. They had affected field goals. And the special teams errors for Mount Union last week, guys, was pretty much almost their undoing. I mean, it led to an additional turnover with the muff punt. We'll see how North Central can handle this situation and kind of a line drive kick just to make sure it doesn't go out of bounds. So this will be interesting with the wind. Guys, our thoughts out to everybody in the Midwest affected by tornadoes and other activity. It was pretty brutal.
That was not good, yeah.
Coach, what was the situation around where you were?
We're starting to get that now in the high winds. They're not predicting any tornadoes or anything like that. And obviously thoughts and prayers to everyone down in Kentucky that was affected. And but I know it's windy there right now.
And rainy.
You can tell just with they had a quarterback's towel going nuts.
Yeah, you can see on the screen a little bit of moisture on the camera. So there is a little bit of rain going. Yeah. And Ethan Greenfield's hair is definitely flowing. So we've got that much.
I have a question for you, Coach. Oh, sorry, Pat, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think this really plays into what North Central wants to do. They're going to want to pound the ball as much as possible. I think if Luke Lannon throws the ball more than 15, 18 times, that they might be in trouble. I really think that this is exactly what they want to do. Maybe 2 yards on first down maybe wasn't what they wanted, but I think that's what they're going to keep working at. Look, here's another that's a much better gain on second here.
Hey, Will, I remember your first playoff game against Case Western Reserve. It was a slow start for you. This is obviously not Luke Lannon's first playoff game, but as the stakes go up, I mean, are there butterflies in a situation like that as you start going from game to game in the playoffs, or do you think that he's past that at this point?
Oh, absolutely. Being the quarterback in a game like this, or any game really, you always get the butterflies. And I say if you don't have the butterflies, it's time for you to rack the cleats up. So yeah, I think it might take him a little while to get settled in, just kind of feel the flow of the game. But this kid, I've watched him enough this season. He's very collected and poised in the pocket, and he can extend the play with his legs. And honestly, I think his legs may be the difference in scoring points and moving the chains for this North Central offense.
Nearly a pick there by Mount Union as he tried to roll left and had some trouble finding anybody open downfield. So nearly a mistake there. Nikowski got away with a couple of these last week for Muhlenberg, where he probably should have just tucked and ran or something along those lines. But now it looks like North Central into punt, I believe. Okay, finally the camera pulling back for us to see the punter.
They're coming after it, too.
Whoa! Nice cover.
Fielded it. You got to at this point fielding the punt is an adventure, right? You just got to be thankful you're able to do that. And I wanted to point out on the third down play. That's Mount Union getting pressure on Lane and forcing him to roll out with just 4 guys. You got all those guys in coverage. No wonder it was difficult for him to find anybody, right?
Well, it wasn't even a quick, immediate pressure. I think quarterback could have stayed in the pocket a little longer. From the looks of it, and from the looks of the size of North Central's offensive line, I really think Mount's going to have to send more than 4 to get immediate pressure on these into effect and take that quarterback off his spot.
Scott, all the times for the last 25 years or so, people have been saying that the key to winning against Mount is being able to bring pressure with just the front 4. Here it looks like maybe the reverse is true as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. these receivers, you're not going to be able to play man all game against them. They're way too good. They're way too fast. You're going to have to be able to get pressure with 4, and we'll see if North Central can do it. But the one thing that is different, especially this deep in the playoffs, what we don't have in the OAC really is this kind of size. North Central is huge. I mean, across the board, they are huge. And that's going to be a factor really getting into the third and fourth quarter.
I'm just interrupting because there's 2 big gainers here by Mount Union right off the bat, right? The pass to Ruby and then Petro with a nice run around the outside. I mean, so the way they've used Petro over the course of the past several weeks is they run him a little bit early and then they save him. They bring him back in third and fourth quarter and he kind of closes the game for them. And he comes in, he's like, I feel like I always use a lot of baseball metaphors, but he's like the key relief pitcher or something, or guy off the bench, right? But that's 2 big gains, and they're here just short of midfield now.
One of the things I noticed that they're going to take down Petro in the backfield in this one, but the short pass to Ruby is something they did not try to do much against Muhlenberg, and they had trouble finding Ruby throughout that game downfield. So between the wind and what they experienced last week, maybe they're going to basically do kind of stretch plays with a quick pass to the Ruby side for 5-6 yards and hope that his speed can get the rest of the way. If this is a speed duel, I have to feel like Mount Union wins that speed duel with their offense versus the North Central defense. Anybody disagree with that?
Oh,
I don't know.
I don't know if I've ever seen a faster team than Mount Union across the board. That's comparing them to other Mount Union teams. They're extremely fast, both sides of the ball, every position.
I think when you get to this point in the season, too, everybody who's left is fast. We could say the same thing about Mary Hardin Baylor. We say the same thing about Whitewater. But, I mean, we are talking about these very elite. There's only like 6 to 8 teams that you can really compare in terms of even being in the ballpark on speed.
Coach Jeff Dart's on the sideline. He had started the season up in the press box. What were your thoughts when you heard that and then saw him make the changes to get a first down?
I think he actually made the change after our game. Again, it's he calls the offense, so I do understand why he goes up there. It's not what I choose to do, even if I was calling the defense. I don't, but again, everyone's different. I need to be down there. I'm a little too wild in the box.
For Coach and for Will, tempo here really quick for the Mount Union offense. You like this?
Yeah, I like it. Plunk's getting the ball out quick. And he's putting it on the money right now, really putting a nice drive together.
Very, very similar start to last week. Muhlenberg got nowhere in their first drive. Mount Union marched down and got a touchdown. They are within 8 yards of a touchdown right now, in fact. And then Muhlenberg was able to respond. Yeah. So let's see if this entire script goes the same way here as first and goal comes up for Mount Union. This is
Coach, Coach, I had a question for you. In your games or in D3 in general, the coaches are you guys typically starting off with a script, or are you sort of just waiting to see, what the other looks the team you're playing has given you? I mean, do you think that these plays that Mount Union has run to date have been like, plays 1 through 10 that they've had scripted out specifically for this drive?
Usually it's the first. Everyone's different. I know our offensive coordinator, who actually is a Mount guy, he does the first 4. He's going to put the first 3 and 4 touchdown. Wow, nice pass.
Yeah,
beautiful.
Wind is,
but after those first 4, it's situational based. Oh, we got to watch the celebration.
I was going to say North Central is very high on its cornerbacks, Lindmark and Beasley, but these guys are Plunk is finding spaces and there's guys open and he's hitting them.
That's
not much space there.
Short pass, so you can zip them and that wind won't affect them, and that's probably going to be the key to the success for them in this game. And nice kick there, all things considered. It didn't look like it was really wind affected at all.
Yeah.
7-0 Mount Union.
That's a really good first drive. Really good first drive for Mount Union. If you're a Mount Union fan, that is exactly what you want to see.
Absolutely.
And what's more impressive, that entire drive was into the wind.
Yep, that's what I was going to say. It didn't really affect Plunk at all right there.
Coach, can you tell us a little bit about like the game planning or the thoughts about when you at the coin toss, making those decisions about on a game where there's a lot of wind like this, when are you going to take the wind? Do you want to take the ball? How does that all go into, how does that factor?
Yeah, I've been on both sides of it. We're games we're going in where we think our offense is going to have to win a game like a Mount Union, where you're not going to hold the team. You want to get off to a fast start, so you want the win in the first quarter. If you feel like it's going to be more of a defensive game where your defense is going to be able to stop that offense, then it's probably the opposite. So we were a team and just our guys got used to it. We just always took the ball. It was, if we had that decision, that's just what we were going to do, and it didn't matter. Just because our guys got used to that, they were comfortable doing it. But it is a little bit different on how you see the game playing out.
Folks, a quick reminder, we are on Twitch, so if you want to chat with us, please feel free to come in on our Twitch channel. If you're watching on YouTube, go to twitch.tv/RossiF76. That's my last name, first initial 76. And you can join us in our chat box. You may have to register with Twitch. It's a simple process, very reputable service as well, so feel free to do so without worrying much about your credentials, etc. But 7-0 is our score here. JB, not the way we saw it going in our Friday show necessarily, but like I said, very similar to the Muhlenberg start.
Well, yeah, and I don't think anyone I read the quick hits from D3Football.com, and it was a pretty clean sweep that everyone expects North Central to win this game by at least a touchdown or more. There weren't a lot of close scores here, so for Mount Union to come out and look that dominant, this is going to be interesting. Obviously, still very early on in the game, only 9:51 remaining in the first quarter, plenty of time. But that was a big statement drive, as you guys said, for the Raiders.
Saw on Twitter, Brock Rudder was paying attention to this one. I'm really shocked to hear that. He's very, very close with Andrew Kaminsky, obviously, and Coach Thorne, among others, on the team, and was taking high offense to the location of this game being in Alliance. Coach, when you heard this game was being pushed to Alliance instead of to Naperville, what was your thought and opinion on that?
Sorry. I was surprised as anyone, I thought this would be out in Illinois and, but no idea how those conversations go. You guys know a heck of a lot more than I do about that.
That was a dangerous situation. Another dangerous situation there for North Central because remember, kickoffs are live balls for both teams and they just kind of let that thing roll, maybe hoping it would go out of bounds. You can't do that. You got to jump on that kickoff. It's not a punt, folks. So
we're gonna see some wild special teams plays. I could fully see some turnovers. This kind of reminds me that what is the Buffalo game Monday night, the Bills game. Shout out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We used to talk about how special teams in the playoffs was even more of an adventure. It's a nice first down there to Kaminsky. Because, when you had 52-man rosters or even back in the day of 48-man rosters, the guys who usually played special teams might not even make the cut for your rosters. You had guys playing out of position, guys getting accustomed to it. Now we're 3 rounds in and the rosters expanded a little bit. So it's usually more the experienced guys out there. But, every once in a while, you still see some of those things that make you wonder, is this just a guy who's not accustomed to being in this spot?
That was actually Kaminsky's 67th reception on the year, and I know that because I had to type it in for our Gallardi show when he became a finalist this week.
Oh, nice job there by Greenfield.
Yep, there's the run that they need. You have Ike Arabor, or had him while you're a quarterback, Will, and I mean, having that kind of run game, does it make your job a lot easier? Does it make it in a situation where you have to sacrifice as a quarterback to a certain degree? Tell us the value of having a running back like Ethan Greenfield here.
Yeah, like having IK, teams would love to stack the box. And when he would get going, it would just put one-on-ones with guys like Andre Ross Jr. And when your offensive line can protect you, it gives you opportunities to take shots down the field and really flip the field. Ethan Greenfield, he is something else. I haven't seen a running back in Division III that runs like him with his speed, his elusiveness, and the physicality that he brings. I think he is their go-to guy. They put a lot of the bulk of the load on him, and he continues to just make plays when his team needs him.
Was that the tight end number 98 doing some great blocking downfield there, Matt Quinn?
I think they're using 84 as an H back. Frank is kind of the way that formation seems to be set up.
But you saw Matt Quinn about 10 yards downfield blocking for Greenfield and doing a great job of it. They opened up that 9-yard gain there. So interesting how they utilized their tight end, and there's a first down for Greenfield, finishing his job there. But Coach,
really, other than that play, they've run one run play. They ran nothing but power, and it looks like they're trying to establish gap schemes and use their size to get some vertical movement on Mount's D linemen, who are exceptional. They're huge and they're good, but playing D line and getting power run at you 40, 50 times, and there's another one. They've run it about 4 different ways, but it's the same play, and that wears on you. I'm telling you right now, that wears on your front seven real fast.
Yeah,
and
that might
so
be
they haven't really
object.
faced. I was just going to say they haven't really faced much of this season, and definitely not in the postseason either, right? I mean, they have not had opponents who can run on them. And you go back to Washington and Lee, they're not running this way, and they don't have these kind of horses. This is something that Mount Union is not really accustomed to, I'm thinking right now.
No, I mean, the teams that actually have tight ends and fullbacks, you can probably count on one hand in all of college football.
6:46 left first quarter on our screen. It might be a little out of sync with you folks, but nonetheless.
Look at that.
We're getting to see Lanen out and running now. So that's one of the things is so in the first game of the season, back at the beginning of the year, they blew the doors off of Aurora, and Lanen just stayed contained, stayed in the pocket. And then in the Little Brass Bell game against Wheaton, they brought some of this out, completely surprising to a lot of people, to see him in space, do that sort of thing. I mean, this is a guy who plays baseball for North Central, and he's a guy who was a known quantity in high school in Illinois, but still, was still surprised to see him out and doing it and that sort of thing at the college level, and now seeing it here at the Mount Union game for the first time.
9 rushing touchdowns on the season. Braxton Plunk only had 1 coming into this game, so that should tell you that as part of that whole running game that we're talking about, Lanen is part of that running game for sure. Here, though, Greenfield.
He looks pretty natural doing it, so that could be a huge weapon for them, especially in the red zone, getting down here.
Yeah, I don't think many people realize how fast he is. He can fly.
Yeah, that was quick. That was impressive. I kind of forgot, to be honest with you, and I'd seen it in person, although that's like 12 weeks ago. And this is not dissimilar. It's not dissimilar to how the Little Brass Bell game went earlier. I need to credit Greg Thomas, who put this in our Slack chat, reminded that Mount Union went down the field and carved up that North Central defense and scored right away, and then didn't score again in that game. You guys said something funny that I missed. I'm sorry.
It's okay. There's 5 people on the screen. It's going to happen from time to time. Speaking of 5, number 5 running again on that option play. And it seems like Mount Union's having trouble with that one a little bit. They're not used to that sort of option play, and it's gotten them the goal to go right now with 5 minutes left first quarter and a 7-0 Mount Union lead early in this game.
And they're going to be able to use that option. The structure of Mount's defense, which is very similar to ours, is it doesn't have too many C-gap defenders. They're off-the-ball C-gap defenders, and that option can get really dangerous when they need it.
When we're not here with goal to go, I want you to talk about gap defenders and talk about A-gap, B-gap, C-gap for the audience, if that's all right.
Yeah, of course.
And maybe as a reminder for me, it's been a little while since Keith McMillan gave me my tutorial on gaps and defense and that sort of thing.
You just let me know. I can talk about gaps all day. I'm a linebacker coach by trade. All right.
There you go.
Looks like a formation issue. Formation. So it actually was a live ball
procedure,
play.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yep.
I'll tell you, my first experience actually being at field level at Mount Union was last week, and I've always been in the press box when I'm there. And the student section being that close to the back of that end zone is something I'm surprised that they allow it personally because it is that daunting and close to the field. But they are relentless down there. I give them credit for that.
Frank, you should go to a game at St. John's is all I have to say.
Oh, absolutely.
Or for that matter,
I get it. But as things turn odder and odder lately, I wonder how much longer they'll allow that stuff at all games, not just this one.
Oh, that should be a flag.
Yeah, got a couple back out of that.
This is a busted play right there. Something was off.
Yeah. Hard to tell on these really tight shots, obviously, what didn't happen, right?
It feels like they're
So,
lulling
Will,
them to sleep,
what's that
though.
like for a QB when you drop back the pass and you don't see anybody and you got like 4 guys trying to run and kill you?
It's not fun, that's for sure. Hopefully they've implemented some kind of scramble drill where his guys can get open. But yeah, it's not fun when you're running for your life. And those Mount Union defenders are pretty big guys.
Is this where we see Kaminsky possibly? It feels like they're lulling them to sleep with the run.
Oh.
Ooh, reading the 4-eye.
Nice fake.
Is that even – okay, I got to ask you guys, is that even a designed RPO or does he just see that coming and go, oh, I am just going to hold on to this damn football. I'm not giving it up now.
That was designed.
Looked like
he's reading the defensive end. The defensive end takes the running back. He's pulling it.
So it's a definite
That's
RPO
a pretty good read there.
call. Yep.
But the DN was actually in
right.
the B gap, so it's a quick read. It's a tough read for a quarterback.
So B gap is between which linemen and stuff? B gap is
between the guard and
which
the
linemen?
tackle. Between the guard and the tackle.
Yep.
A's are between
Gotcha.
the center and the guard.
So we got a timeout. One thing I want to ask, Coach, tell us one of your favorite stories about your experiences with Mount Union. You've had some bouts with them. Give us your best story, your best Mount Union story.
Well, there's not too many. Let's be honest. And don't get me wrong. Our kids played hard. We've played tough. The closest game, and really the best game, and I actually talked to Dart about this game all the time, was 2013 at our place. We had a really good team. We were coming off a playoff run. We had Cartel Brooks running the ball, who was an absolute freak show. And actually Dante Dye at receiver, who played in the NFL for a while. And this was before we had a stadium. We had a field and some bleachers, a couple of them. It looked like a county fair tractor pull. But they estimated over 6,000 people there. I mean, the hill was packed. You thought that all the sidelines were packed. 8 deep down the way. And it was a really close game. And I remember the play that actually decided it, and I give Vince Karras credit. He called a fake punt from his own 15-yard line. We were up. I think we were up 7 or 10 at that point, and we had them 4th and probably 8. And they called a fake punt, and the punter made 3 people miss and ended up running for 60 yards. And that was late. It was mid-4th quarter. And they scored and ended up tying it up, and then on the next series won it. But that was a wild game. It was a wild atmosphere. It was pretty insane. So I
was there for that one.
That one sticks out. What's that?
I was there for that one.
You were. That's right. That's right.
That's my one trip to Heidelberg so far. Yep.
Well, a lot's changed. We have a stadium and everything now.
The scaffolding was just fine. It worked out just fine.
Oh man, we had the opposing coaches were in lifts. Actual scissor lifts. That game was great. And we've had some good games with them. We've had some horrible games too. Last year in 2019, it was the 2 top passing offenses of the nation going at it, and I think we combined for 12 pass attempts, because it was a monsoon for 4 straight hours. That one was pretty boring.
We were talking about Kaminsky. Is that what you think here on 3rd and goal? And I forget where we're at. Are we on like the 6?
Around the 4-yard line, I believe, on that scamper.
Inside the 5.
All right.
I could see him going around.
I think it could be one of those. I think it could be one of those RPO plays where they key off the DN, like Will was saying.
Kaminsky on the right side here. He's looking his way.
Oh.
There you go. And that is that's D'Angelo Hardy. D'Angelo Hardy now this is the guy we were talking about the other day. It was like only a sophomore. This guy is only a sophomore still. It is crazy. I feel like we've been calling D'Angelo Hardy's name for a long time.
31 touchdown
probably,
passes.
Yeah, well, we've noted that Kaminsky's production has gone down a little bit, and maybe it's because of guys like Hardy, and Kaminsky's getting double teamed all the time, so it's a good opportunity to look for another receiver in the end zone then.
Absolutely. Plus, just a lot fewer catches going around.
It was a false start.
Greenfield and Hill are doing a great job.
False start on the extra point. That's not great with this wind. That'll be an adventure now from 25 yards out. Jeff Thorne's got to absolutely be livid on something like that. You know him well enough. Great personality off the field and a true coach on the field. He's probably going to be laying into number 64 on that one.
I mean, most coaches are like that. I think with basketball coach, who was one of my best friends, we went to each other's weddings, and he was an absolute jackwagon to me during a basketball game once. It happens. Jackwagon. I can say jackwagon, right?
You can say whatever you want.
Yes.
Twitch is pretty much anything goes. Facebook doesn't do much either. But look at that wind. You can see the OAC flag there.
That's whipping.
No
good.
good.
That's a miss.
Missed it. Yep.
Little things.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Especially in their student section. That's not fun.
So I'm waiting for the D3Football.com share on this broadcast. Am I going to get you to do that?
I did already. Right before we went on, and I'm barely keeping up with Twitter as it is. Maybe by the time I drop out. In fact, this is my half hour. Am I?
That's why.
Should I jump out here at this break?
Let's go 12:40. Dean Paul's going to join us, Coach. So you guys get to.
You didn't tell me Dean was coming.
Well, let's see. Who should be more upset at the end of the day with that?
No. He's a great friend, great competitor, great coach. But, yeah, that's all right. I mean, I'm better looking, so it works out well. This will work out better for me.
There you go.
Coach Donaldson was waiting for hair and makeup to show up before the broadcast. They did a great job, I think. So 7-6. Will kind of the inversion on the scoreboard from last week. Muhlenberg had the 7-6 lead on Mount Union. This week it's 7-6 Mount Union leading. Does that play mental tricks with you when you see that scoreboard still not on your side this early?
Not necessarily. I think talking about these young quarterbacks, I think the student section and the environment could play a huge role, and Luke Lanon's poise back in the pocket. You saw last week, I think home field advantage really helped Mount Union down the stretch. So I'm interested to see this play out. Great response by North Central right there, though.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
They needed to do that. They needed to establish that run, which they did with the help of the option there, the RPO, whatever you want to call it. Lanon's legs, Yep, they were incredible there. But JB, again, we sort of looked at this game coming in as maybe a rout of sorts. We talked about this a little bit earlier, but maybe not, because here's the thing I'm noticing. The clock went down pretty fast in this first quarter. We're already at 2:35 left first quarter. I don't know if there's the ability to get a rout in this game, because this game is going to get shortened by all this running, perhaps by both sides, because Petrocelli is probably going to be doing a great share of running as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I thought that maybe with you have the combo of Greenfield and Petro on both sides of the ball, that this could turn into a running strength versus strength. I mean, obviously both defenses are great at stopping the run, but when you get into December, the weather, obviously the wind, so far it doesn't seem to have affected Plunk's throwing motion or any of the he's working the field pretty well. He hasn't gone deep, and I don't think we'll necessarily see any deep shots here, but with Ruby on the field, you never know. It'll be interesting to see, how NCC's defense makes adjustments now after that, first drive and Mount Union scoring so quickly.
So
what you hope doesn't happen is those quarterbacks and that offense start thinking they have to score in every drive, and putting all that pressure on themselves. And that's great job at North Central driving down and, maybe putting that into to that Mount offense's head that you have to score every drive. And you can get into some really dangerous decisions when that happens.
A kickoff with the wind at their back, going out the back of the end zone.
Never coming back.
Yep.
Will, you in the second round last go-around in 2019 faced a Salisbury team with a lot of size up front on both sides of the ball. When you get to this level, to the second, third, fourth rounds of the playoffs, do you notice as a quarterback the size differentials and the overall differences compared to the teams you're used to playing in your league and out-of-conference schedule? Kind of give us that perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was the biggest separation when we went down to Salisbury last year. And, we were able to score a lot of points. Our passing game got going. But I believe in games like this, time of possession is huge. If you can't control the ball in the line of scrimmage down the stretch, then you don't give yourself a great chance to win. And, up front, we did a decent job up front on offense, but our defense just couldn't keep up with the ground and pound and the size of their offensive line. I mean, those guys were fast, strong, and just a lot more physical than we were. And, kind of like we talk about North Central, as the game goes on, it does wear down defenses when you can just pound the rock on first and second down. And that's how we fell short. We just couldn't keep up physically.
Just want to point out, nice first couple of carries here for DeAndre Parker. There's
the other,
the 1A or the 1B. I don't know which running back is which. Yeah. These guys both get play, and they're different guys too.
You'll see them both out there in some personnel sets. They're both elite level running backs. I think Murray might be a hair faster, Petro a hair more powerful, but they're both elite level backs.
Yeah.
They were showing the stats, and it's almost 50-50, the distribution for the runs there. And look, it's good in some ways because it gives you fresh legs whenever you need them, pretty much. You can go back and forth drive to drive, and that seems to be what they're doing here. This is Parker's drive, probably officially in their minds right now.
Typically, yeah.
Do you send a blitz on 3rd and 5 here, Coach? Or do you...
No. 3rd and 5 is a quick pass. I'm playing either a very short zone coverage or some man. You're expecting the ball out before the blitz can get there. Let's, hopefully get a hand up in a window and cover these slants, cover the out routes.
Well, this is a huge play for 3rd and 5. Let's see what they're able to do with it. Plunk secure in the pocket, and they get it.
Nice.
On Parker.
Nice play.
Good call. Good call.
On money downs, they make a living on dumping down. Where I don't think it's a check down, where it's almost his first read is the back coming out of the backfield.
You see him move that linebacker with his eyes right there.
Make a living on it. It's very difficult to stop.
Braxton Plunk has some definite readable eyes, and so he probably uses those as weapons, like you're saying, Will. That's for sure.
Yep. Yeah, he looked left, and the linebacker went the opposite direction, created a window for his running back.
Yep.
Yeah.
First quarter almost over here. Only about 45 seconds left on our feed right now. And Parker
those
just...
safeties are coming downhill hard.
Yeah.
Yep. And then Mount Union gets the win in the second round. That could be interesting.
Yeah, I was going to raise that point about, usually in big, severe situations like this, the team that has a win at its back likes to throw the ball. And how often did we see North Central throw the ball with that quarter? They ran out the quarter where they had the wind at their back, which is kind of maybe not to their advantage, right?
Mount Union should just run this quarter out completely. At this point, zeros on the clock. They don't need to run a play and get the wind to your back here with the rain starting to come down too. Maybe you'll subside a little bit with that. When you get back to action. So after one quarter of play, 7-6, Mount Union leading North Central. Not the way that Quick Hits and many others had predicted it here, but it is that
we didn't have we had Quick Hits predicts a final score, man. It does not predict a first quarter score. You can never predict a first quarter score. At the end of the first quarter, there was this guy. I'm going to dig way back into the whatever, but way back in the day, like Northwestern and St. John's played an early season game, and Northwestern was up 7-0 at the end of the first quarter. Yeah, if you get the ball first and the other team goes 3 and out and then you come back and score, that can be your entire first quarter, and that's not too dissimilar to what we just saw here. There are 60 whole minutes, Frank, not just 15.
Thank you, Dad. I mean, Pat.
Who's your dad?
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to jump out and get Keith McMillan into this spot, guys. So
we're gonna have Dean Paul for now.
Drop on that.
We're going to have Dean Paul actually coming up at 12:45, so we're going to let him go from there, and then we'll try to get Keith a little bit later on if he's willing to join us. So, Pat, thanks for joining. Any last thoughts? Got a couple of seconds here before Coach Paul comes.
Oh, follow us on Twitter at D3Football. Now we'll be doing a lot more tweeting because I don't have to be watching the camera all the time.
Good point. Thank you, bud.
I'm out.
Thanks, Pat.
So, it's just the four of us now. What do you have to say for yourselves? A couple of questions coming across, and I'm going to word them a little bit differently and more smartly than I think they are. But some people are asking about your end of the season in 2021 here, the kind of loss situation. Ithaca was probably the more surprising loss in terms of the lopsidedness of it, and then the RPI situation, pretty much you had nothing to do with it. That was just some wild antics at an end of a game. But, take us through the end of your season, your feelings about it and everything else.
Yeah, I mean, it was unfortunate and a tough pill to swallow for sure. In terms of the Ithaca game, I think youth on our football team really showed up. They packed the house. We were undefeated last season, or in 2019, won the championship over there, throwing up the U. And I think we had a lot of young guys that really didn't understand the depth of the Liberty League this season. And we were a top 25 team, something that we really didn't have in 2019. We had a chip on our shoulder with something to prove. And I think this year, a lot of those young guys, they saw us number 11 in the country, and they really didn't understand how tough the back end of our schedule was going to be. So I think at Ithaca, we jumped off sides, I think 6 times. First play of the game hits me in the helmet, right in the face mask. And we since then, we just couldn't get in a rhythm. And then at RPI, the past 2 seasons we played them, it was sunny and, over 40 degrees. And I was able to sit back there and kind of utilize my weapons down the field. But I'll give credit to George Marinopoulos this year, man. He really showed up in the rain, and he played a hell of a game. And, it was just a tough way to go out. I mean, I had aspirations just to come back and win a championship. And with playoff hopes on the line and to go out like that, it was tough.
Yeah, it was tough to even watch that scoreboard on the RPI game. I remember being a Coast Guard watching that scoreboard come in, and JB and I were having the discussion of his infamous tweet from that game. Just the anything is possible in football scenario played out through and through. Here's 3rd and 4 coming up for Mount Union that we're watching right now, 7-6 lead for Mount, and this is not a good pass.
Pressure.
Yeah.
Pressure, and maybe just a little happy feet there to throw real quick. It just seemed like he was not in position to throw that ball, almost like back-footed it.
Is it raining?
It is raining.
Yeah,
badly.
That's the rain. It is coming down sideways. Well, sort of, from
they have to keep wiping the camera lens. Yeah. That's why they keep going off the angles, because every so often they have to turn and wipe the darn thing. That's the way the rain is coming down.
Very surprised they're not going for this. Usually, again, it might not just be in the game plan, but usually this is a go-for situation for Mount.
Oh.
Great
punt.
Great punt. Great coverage.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Phenomenal job there. Is that a new punter?
Maybe. Well, hopefully it wasn't the guy who took a knee last week, because that was
because Piccarello was
a pretty
not
big issue at the time.
What do you guys think about that? What do y'all think about that call?
It was the accurate call.
Frank, you were there. Was he down?
We zoomed in on it for crunch time this week, and as he was getting the ball in his hands, his knee was still down. And look, it comes down to when do you declare he has possession of the ball? And the referee had probably the best seat in the house to see both the ball in his hand and the knee on the ground. So I think it was the right call. Others that watched the TV broadcast thought it was not the right call. But being at field level with that angle, it looked like the knee was down as that ball was in his hands. I can't fault the call by the referee.
That ended up being the play of the game at the end of that one.
Gave him life. Yeah. It really did.
Set Muhlenberg up. Yeah.
You can't call that a turnover, but I mean, it felt like a turnover when you really look at that situation. Turnover on downs in the wrong part of the field. But, we talked about it, Coach. They were -3 last week, was Mount Union. -3 in turnover ratio. And they still won the game. Now, you can look at that two ways. Holy cow, when does Mount Union go -3? Or, holy cow, they overcame a -3 to win a game. I mean, how do you look at it if you're a head coach?
It's both. It's both. I mean, they don't turn over the ball. I mean, they don't. I think we were lucky enough to actually have 4 turnovers against us, or 3 turnovers, but there was some guys making some great plays and some freak things happening. They don't turn over the ball very much. Braxton is very accurate with his footballs, and unless you get a tip at the line of scrimmage, you're not going to intercept him. He throws the ball way too hard. It's just not going to happen. So, but I think it's also more on the fact that you're in the third round of the playoffs, and you can overcome 3 turnovers. That says a lot about how good your team is, and also how resilient your team is. And I think that last week, getting to overtime, and it didn't look like they played their best game last week, but still coming out with a win is probably going to do more for them the next 2 weeks than a blowout would have, to be honest.
Love the celebration. Nice swing. Nice swing on the chip shot there by the punter. He was pretty pleased.
He's probably a scratch golfer.
Yeah, well, I think we're going to see some more power right here with the backs against the end zone.
I guarantee you Luke Lannon is here in that student section right now.
Oh, you think?
Oh yeah.
The one part I didn't like about last week was they were starting to talk about parents' names. They were actually doing research on the players, and that's where you draw the line. Okay, talk all you want.
Did that at Union Hobart? I was on the sideline.
That's pretty light. That's pretty light.
Well, I know of a coach.
They're going to know the girlfriends.
Well, we saw a situation where people went a little too far down the depth chart, people's families this season, and it actually caused a player to get suspended as a result. I'm not going to name names and schools, but it can get to a point that's a little beyond acceptable. So
there is a point. There is a point. There's no question. But yeah, I mean, I love it. We have our students right in the end zone. Also, there was a situation not at our game at another conference institution where that became a pretty big issue. But as long as it stays within the realm of decency, I think that's. I love it. I think it's a great part of small college football.
Yeah. What kind of play do you call here on 3rd and 6, Coach?
I'm either going sprint out or quick RPO slants. Something to get the ball off fast. So try to get this first down, but you're not trying to shoot the ball downfield.
Uh-oh.
Or
good time. Oh, nice catch.
What a catch.
Oh, my God.
Well, I guess when you have a receiver that big, or you just throw it up to him.
Yeah.
Looks like DK Metcalf out there.
Oh, my gosh. What a throw. And that was risky, too.
That could have been really bad.
Number 7 for Mount Union was right there to pick that off if he doesn't haul that in. That's a huge play.
You got to attack the
ball.
He
didn't play last
right
week,
there.
did he? Jesse Vale?
I don't remember him out there.
Help me out on that.
I don't remember seeing him.
I don't think so.
He's a difference maker. He's a difference maker out there at safety.
I'd like to see NTC start incorporating more RPOs. Well, there we go.
Ooh.
Yeah, it wasn't exactly what you wanted, though.
Yeah.
Until it's wet. Doing that will keep a defense off. Won't doing that, keep a defense off, honest, I
keep
guess is
them
the right
honest.
term. If you're
Yeah.
It makes you defend not only vertical, it makes you defend all 53 and a third yards. I mean, you have to defend every inch of that field on every play.
I will say the weather does play a huge role in those RPOs, though. When you have to read at the end and pull it when it's all wet and then make a throw after, it's tough.
Greenfield almost effortlessly is getting like 6-7 yards a carry, it seems like suddenly. And, credit the line, but also credit his shiftiness in his legs. I mean, it's a great combo, and I see why that run game is where they resorted to so much this season.
Yeah, we haven't really seen much of Terrence Hill yet either.
No.
Don't forget about him.
No,
absolutely.
I think both of these schools have a luxury of running backs that can start. Both of their backup running backs can almost start anywhere in the country.
Well, this drive started at the 1.5 yard line. They're at the 31, but it's 3rd down and 3 coming up here on our screens. And
H back right up the gut.
It's not going to be enough.
Short.
Going for it, Will?
I don't think so.
No.
Not yet, right?
You're punting into a win, too, though. I mean,
that is true.
You could get a 22-yard punt.
You're looking at the cost-benefit analysis here, and they're leaving the offense on the field. This is actually, I'm surprised.
Yeah. I think this is where Lennon's going to try.
It's still so early.
This may be a hut, and timeout.
That's what it looks like.
They got 4 seconds left. They better hike it.
Oh, my goodness, they're going for it.
Hold up. Uh-oh. He's in trouble. That's not going to play. Oh, my gosh. What a great defensive effort there. Kaminsky's
did they throw a flag?
Trying to make a case.
Yes.
That's good defense,
yes, they did. The flag is down.
Threw a flag.
That's good defense.
Wow.
Oh, man. As a former DB, that breaks my heart. That was good. That was good coverage, dude. Come on, man.
It's almost automatic on an underthrown ball. Good coverage, it's going to be a PI. I mean, the NFL almost bank out.
Is that a commentary or a depressed thought? Which is it?
A little of both. Coach Eli's not happy.
Mountain Union coach is not happy at all.
Getting restrained even by his own players. That's
something you see too, man.
Well, no push off there. That's the arm. It was the arm.
I think you got to let him play there.
I mean, he was going back for the ball. I thought that was, whatever. It's just the way the game is now. It kind of comes with the territory. Yeah. It's good news for Cardinals fans, though, because first down and they're still in business.
It looked like they were in deep, deep trouble there as he was rolling to his right side, and there was just nothing appearing there. Right? Look. There's the Kaminsky factor, though. You trust him enough in that situation. Obviously, you got nothing to lose by throwing at that point. But, Kaminsky's the guy that is going to be able to rope that in on the run over there, and you benefit by the PI call.
Yeah, those bailed out twice now.
Those sprint out routes are very dangerous, and you don't see much success against them. Their secondary and their back seven are so fast that you get those routes at the sidelines. They're at the sidelines, I mean, faster than your receivers can get there.
I don't hate the call on a 4th down, Coach, because the boundary is basically going to stop the team if they get an interception in that situation. So,
True.
What's the risk at that point? You got to throw the ball to somebody, so why not?
True.
2nd or 3rd down, absolutely right. I mean, the risk-reward isn't there for that type of play. Waiting for our friend Dean Paul to come on. He's having a little connection issue, I think, with his phone and webcam and stuff, but he's trying hard here. We'll get him in a moment.
Coach Paul's a little older. Technology's still a little new to him. Trying to dial up on a roto dial,
I don't know. Bierman could get on, Will. Coach Bierman was always... was that your dial-in? Oh, that's backward.
Oh, boy. That ball sailed a little bit. This guy is...
He's athletic, huh?
A lot of... Yeah. Just jumps about...
And young, correct? He's only a sophomore?
Yeah. Yeah, it just hurdles them basically.
Yeah. I mean, what are the heights on these receivers? I could look it up, but man, they look long.
Yeah, that looks like about 6'5" to me, maybe 6'4".
It does. I mean, he looks long.
What's our time left here?
And built. Looks pretty built, too.
Yeah.
You seen a weight room or two? Counter?
Yep. Seems like they're packing the box a little bit harder for Greenfield suddenly.
Yep.
Does that open something up?
Personnel,
going into the wind and rain, it seems like, oh, here we go, 4th down again. There's Cordell Ford, number 32. He was in on that play. Great safety.
I feel like he's been playing for 15 years.
Yeah, right.
Josh Petroselli, same thing. Jefferson Fritz at UMHB. It seems like the names that we just keep saying year after year for 82 years. So they're actually punting here?
Yeah, there you go. Yep. Let's see what the wind does to this one. Oh, that's a nice kick.
Good kick for that situation.
Gets a little bit of a Mount Union bounce, but that's, burned a lot of time off the clock on that drive, I guess, is maybe the one positive you can take away from it. But Mount Union with the wind behind it with 7 minutes left, it could be 14-6 pretty quick. It looks like we have somebody new on the call here.
Yeah, we will in a second. We got to put him up on the main screen here in a second here. But we have made connection with Coach Paul. Coach, make sure we can see your whole head there. If you could push your camera down just a little bit so that we can see you. But how you doing, sir? Hold on 1 second. I got to get your sound on. There you go.
Yeah, I was struggling to get on the call there, so that's a good reason for Coach Donaldson to bust my chops. So
here's the story.
A good reason, buddy.
Donaldson actually paid one of his players to drive out there and to toy with your internet connection. You don't realize it. He wanted to be the only OAC part of the show, and you overcame that problem. Okay, before anything else, who does your haircuts out there in the OAC? Because you guys have strikingly the same hairdo.
There's limited options for me.
Frank, it's just what it boils down to when you got to take, you got to coach guys like Will Bellamy. Your hair starts to turn gray, it starts to fall out. He's just this, these QBs, these kids these days.
That's the word around town.
I'm just messing around. Yeah, I'm just messing with you, man.
It's that OAC schedule. It just your hair just goes. The second you become head coach, it just goes.
Coach, how often do you have to shave
every year? I'd probably feel the same.
How often do you have to shave it? Will wants to know. Okay, let's see.
Yeah.
Scott,
it's like a once a week occurrence.
I'm a twice a week guy. Twice a week.
Yeah, probably similar. I always remember the first time when I actually shaved it. Coach Karras, I saw him not too long after that, and he said, "I guess we ran too many dive plays back when we ran the kind of banging your head in there too many times in the dive plays and the old veer back in the day." So as I got it, I guess that didn't help probably either, Coach.
So ONU has had some interesting history with Mount Union over time. What's the secret to success here? How do you beat this team, Coach?
Well, I don't know if we would claim to have any secret for success, but I think Scott knows that there's a few things that you have to do to give you a chance, right? One's the turnover battle. I forget the one stat I saw one time about what the record is when they win the turnover battle, but it's not good. If you lose the turnover battle, I think it's like 201 or something like that. But that's one thing you have to do: win the turnover battle.
That's we were talking about earlier. They lost that battle last week and still won the game. So that's not always the recipe either. But I mean, it did allow Muhlenberg to get to overtime, ultimately going +3 against Mount Union. Which, do you ever remember a time you were able to win the turnover battle against Mount Union in any of your games?
We actually did this year.
Yeah, like Scott, I think Scott, it gives you a chance, right? It's not like it's the recipe to win necessarily, but it does give you a chance. And, watching that Muhlenberg game last week, I think the other thing they did a really good job was just answering momentum sometimes, we kind of call it the purple avalanche of just the momentum that you have to be able to kind of respond when something happens and kind of keep your poise and get back into the game.
So, guys, as we were watching almost an interception here by North Central, great position there.
Nice coverage.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Had the best position out of the two of them, ultimately. The OAC is technically hosting the Stag Bowl on Friday, and are we going to see you guys at the game? I mean, is that mandatory conference scenario, or what's the story? Am I going to see you out there on Friday?
You might.
You going, Scott?
I might.
I'm planning. I'm planning on going. I asked our commissioner if she needed any jobs, any tasks she needed, and she's like, well, maybe we might find something for you, but I'm planning on going regardless.
You're just trying to get a free ticket. I get you.
Yeah, maybe.
You can be our lighting guy, okay, for our pregame show that we're doing. How's that?
Yeah.
Guess what? Who else is going to be coming? That guy, well, you can't see it as down below me, but on the actual broadcast we're doing, Will Bellamy is going to join us as an analyst in the pregame show as well from
Nice.
Union College Word. He did it last year with us down in Shenandoah. He said, hey, I want to see what the cold weather is like up in Ohio this time of year. Good luck to you on that one, Will.
I'm looking forward to it.
He's from Louisiana, coaches. So, I mean, it's not easy. 45.
If you don't mind me asking.
What's
that?
How did you get up to Union, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, so I was getting recruited by the Ivy Leagues out of high school in Louisiana, and I only had like a 26 on my ACT, and you guys know how that goes. You need like a 30 to meet the band. So I actually did a prep school year at Loomis Chaffee in Connecticut, and I didn't get a 30 on my ACT. I did some prep courses, just couldn't get that number. And, Coach Behrman was coming in. He laid out his vision for me, and he also gave me the opportunity to play baseball and football, something that I was really wanting to do. And,
That's awesome.
I basically committed to the academics at Union College and to Coach Jeff Behrman. He and I hit it off.
Awesome.
He made me a priority. And, I had a good 4 years and 10 weeks up in Schenectady, New York.
Absolutely.
But I am glad to be home. I won't lie.
Yeah,
what I'm glad about?
Weather out here, guys.
I was just going to say, I'm glad that I was out there in Alliance last week, not this week, because this is crazy.
This looks bad.
You want to talk about weather affecting a game? I mean, this is it. But you remember, was it North Central that did it almost beat them in a snowstorm back when the Kevin Burke had to run in the 2-point conversion ultimately many years ago now. So weather is not a stranger to Mount Union North Central this level of the season here. The semifinals both times, I want to say. So here we go, deja vu. But Luke Lennon not looking like he's being affected by much right now. I mean, he's got 4 years of eligibility, including this year. This is scary for anybody out there to watch him mature like this. Coach Paul, what's your thoughts since you're just joining us on Luke Lennon?
Well, I do remember when he committed there, I guess, because he went through last year, the COVID year, and I understand he played baseball. So I think what I was told I know that their offensive core, I know him a little bit. So I guess he had that year to get ready. If I remember correctly, he did go to a large high school in the Chicagoland area and was a all-state player and played against some really good high school football.
Kind of like a 6A type program if we were talking Texas.
Exactly. Yep. Hey, Will, I bet you're. It's good to get back home and get some crawfish now, right? From New York, you're not getting any of those down there, right?
Oh yeah, I think I'm gaining weight by the minute over here.
My
stepfather's actually a rice and crawfish farmer, so I'm eating a lot of them. Fortunately.
Feel free to bring some to the pregame show, bud. I mean, there's some great eats in Ohio. Don't get me wrong, that's the soul food is the way to my heart. Okay, down in Louisiana, the South, that's just the way I roll.
Frank, I don't know if you're cut out for the crawfish yet, my man.
What the hell? Okay, I can cut the heads off and suck them. Don't worry about that. Okay?
Yeah, you'll be sweating bullets.
Dude.
Yeah, right.
You
trying to figure out how to peel
underestimate me.
So
Well, I
obviously
spent 2
Bellamy
years
and
at
I
Tulane.
are the warm weather guys, but like, you know, for Coach Donaldson and Paul, I mean, pretty much aren't all the players on your team. If you're from the Midwest, you've probably played in this kind of stuff a lot, right? I mean, it's really, it affects the game to a certain hand, but don't all these guys have experience?
Wow.
Oh my goodness, that was
Touchdown.
a major blown coverage there and a touchdown. Look at that.
Touchdown.
Look at
Nice.
that. Wow. Great
Yes,
play.
I mean,
He's lucky they didn't throw the flag, though, for the dive, the unnecessary dive, because that actually would have nullified the touchdown if they had thrown it. So he should not have done it.
Usually they don't get the dive. If he would have flipped it, if he would have went with the flip, that would have got him the flag.
Yeah, you just got to be careful in a situation like this. You know, when in the old days when it used to be touchdown counts will penalize later, it was one thing. Now you can actually lose a touchdown from that kind of crap. So got to be careful, but still, it's a lead now for North Central.
Football is supposed to be fun.
Look at the goalpost bending, and look, he just tucks it in.
Luckily, it bent the right way.
With the weather, you were asking about. The thing I always remember is, when you have guys that aren't used to it, just how it can impact them. And my third year at Thomas More, we were in the second round of the playoffs. We had a quarterback from Florida. We were playing Wittenberg, and we played really well first round. And it was definitely one of those, Northern Kentucky at Thomas More. We had snow and it was cold, and clearly it was, he had never played in any weather like that, and it was something you were definitely concerned about, just certain players not being used to it.
I think even Dean, that affected our game. Like, our game, we played week 10, and it's a rivalry game, and it was a wild game. But like our running back, who's a Port St. Lucie, Florida kid, had 0 fumbles from the spring to this year, 0. And first quarter of that game, which was cold, it was miserable. He fumbled twice. I mean, so little things like that can really can affect you.
No doubt. Yeah, he's a stud.
Yeah. Guys, got to ask you a question because we've said it. I don't know if you guys share the view. I'm curious here to the coaches on this one. Is my Union down this year a little bit, do you think, compared to what you're used to seeing? Coach Donaldson, we'll start with you.
I wouldn't say down, no. I think, number one, the OAC as a whole is better. I think this year especially, there was 5, 6 teams that are all pretty good and probably could have won playoff games, to be honest with you. So you're seeing some closer scores in the regular season. I know Dean had a great game against them. And it's not so much they're down. I think everyone else is getting a lot better. But
Coach is in demand down there. I could see Coach Paul being summoned by somebody over there. So if he's got to step out, just let us know, Coach. We don't want to keep you from doing your normal work. But same question to you. I mean, do they seem down to you at all, or is it just more the same machine?
No, I don't. Yeah, I mean, I don't think so. I agree with Scott that the first thing is that of course, we're going to talk about pump up the OAC, but it was teams 1 through 6, 7, 8. I mean, man, there were players that didn't make all conference. That honestly, you guys wouldn't believe how good a few of the players were that couldn't even make all conference this year. So the strength of the league was really good. And I think sometimes we're victim to like comparing a Mount team to another Mount team and that type, those type of things. And I think they just have different strengths, maybe different strengths this year, Scott. You know what I mean? Like different areas where they're,
absolutely.
They're just maybe different than some other teams in terms of makeup. So maybe sometimes until you really start watching the video, some things may not stand out. But when you look at the team overall, they're still a great football team.
Petro dropped the ball.
No.
Got it
Fumble.
back.
Did he get it?
He got it.
No.
Oof. That was
what happened there?
It just slipped right out of his hands. I think he looked up for a second to make a cut, and the ball just went whoop.
I would say one thing. I would just add.
In the wrestling match.
There you got it. Wow.
Boy, it looked like Petro had control of the ball.
One of those piles.
It did.
But, here's the problem I have with the pile situation. The play ends when he lands on this ball and has control of it, if he has control of it. Apparently he didn't.
He didn't have it. I don't think he – I think it slipped through under his arm and into the belly of Yeah. Wow.
That is huge.
Wow.
Huge turnover. He was looking to go in for 6 the way he was going there. Just dropped the ball, and now what is that? The turnover of what?
It's like
I don't know. What was that?
It was like a battle axe or something. I don't know.
We saw the oar last week for Muhlenberg. He should have had it.
Yeah, I think the ball just scooted up into the defender's arms. It just, tough break for the Raiders.
Hey, Frank, can you help me out? Is there replay in?
There is indeed replay. There is
Semifinal,
replay,
right?
and here it comes right now.
Here it comes.
Well, Mount Union's calling a timeout, maybe to force replay to look at it, which is the option.
Yeah. Might as well with 3 minutes left. Just that could be a real game changer if they could somehow flip that call. Because
if nothing else, you're going to give upstairs the DV Sports guys, the official up there, extra time to look at the play, and that's important.
These
I think
guys with no shirts.
No question.
We'll see if they force another look at it. I don't know if they have the capabilities for on-field looks like the Big Ten does in the SEC for the ref to go over to the side to look at the thing. But upstairs, somebody is definitely looking at this over and over again with the video they have. And the question comes to, did he have first control of the ball, and did the defender create the turnover after the fact? It's much like a mutual possession in a wide receiver situation. The offense gets that call, and I think that's what Coach Starter is saying. Why don't I get the same call here? I don't think he had put away the ball in time on the ground to overturn this call. I don't think you can overturn it, but I don't fault them for trying to make this happen right now. And it's going to be North Central ball.
Yeah, it was worth it, though, to your point. That was, worth it taking a shot at it.
Why not? Nope. There's a little fake there. And
the most important part of that play right there was running the play. So now everything's done. You can't go back now. So
holding, going back.
North Central, we played them 3 times. It's been 8, 9, and the playoffs 2010. But a lot of the same coaches are there, and they do a really good job for like a spread team of how they have a power run and they'll mix in this speed option, and they just have a really diverse offense.
Yeah.
They do a good job with that.
You know what's scary, guys? I'm watching our Facebook feed right now, and literally they are captioning us in real time, and it's like spot on. Like, this is almost scary stuff that they can transform our speech to text that accurately in this day and age. I know it's an aside, but holy cow.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, you have to explain it for some of us old guys, Frank, that we appreciate the.
Well, Coach Paul got the dial-up
commentary
working at least, so we're good with that.
Yeah, exactly.
If that wouldn't have worked out, I would have never heard the end of it from Coach Donaldson about the 8.0, Wi-Fi or something like that. We're only an hour away from each other.
Yeah,
so
you got to dial up to your AOL connection. I get it.
Now, guys, I know you are fans of the show. You watch on occasion. Did you enjoy the apparel that Dan Mulroney was wearing when he had his photo op with JB, the Dan Mulroney T-shirt that he was wearing? And why aren't you guys wearing the Scott Donaldson and Dean Paul T-shirts today?
I would rock a Dean Paul T-shirt. There's no question about it.
There's only so much of this. Yeah, there's only so much that somebody needs to see.
Another first down here. Central is on their way. I mean, they're almost to midfield, I think. I mean,
funniest head coach in the OAC, guys. Who is it?
Ooh,
I'm gonna give it Coach Donaldson's. He's a funny guy. Who else? I don't think we have that many funny guys. I think we have guys that get along well, but I don't know how many guys we have that are that funny.
Yeah,
Larry Karras didn't qualify back one.
A lot of guys you enjoy having a drink with, but I don't know if they're that funny. Just in a normal context, I guess you'd say.
Look at this.
Trap Nate, they running up the gut.
Great down trap on 3rd and 8.
Holy
I love it.
Terrence Hill. Yeah, Will, you brought up his name. So give us your thought here. You brought him up. Terrence Hill seems to be the guy that we always call for a touchdown or two every game, even though Ethan Greenfield's one that gets a lot of the attention.
Yeah, I think he's the hidden gem. Last week he had 8 carries, 2 touchdowns. Could have had 3 touchdowns if it weren't for a penalty. And he just shows up, man.
1:11 left. This is probably the last possession of the half, and that's important here. That fumble has created dividends right now for North Central. If they can score a touchdown, even a field goal, God forbid, right now in this weather.
The clock is ticking.
I don't know. I don't think anybody's taking a field goal.
I didn't see the beginning of the game. Who had the ball first?
It was North Central. They had a bad first drive.
Okay.
3 and
just
out.
like the Muhlenberg game last week, to be honest with you. Same situation, just flip the score.
North Central just ran a trap a couple plays ago, and I'm telling you, that's they are so good at that trap play. They're. I mean, you can almost know it's coming, and they just.
Here's what they're not good at,
they
apparently,
execute
in North
that so
Central, is these end-of-half situations where they need to probably try to score because they let 4 seconds run off that clock before calling the timeout. I get it's third down, but, I mean, you've got 2 downs here to get this. You're not kicking from here, that's for sure. You're not going to punt either.
No way, not
so,
this.
I think they're absolutely
clock.
fine going into the half 13-7.
You think so?
Yeah.
I think so.
You wouldn't want that opportunity to go up 16 or 20?
I don't have the run game.
Yeah, I mean, the last time they called, was it Hill right up the middle? Maybe they'll try it again here, and if they get something, great. If not, this play for 4th down, maybe let the clock bleed out. I mean, there's 12. Well, the clock won't start until the whistle, though. So yeah, there's probably time for 2 more plays if they're runs.
Well, they got 1 timeout left, so they have the full arsenal at their discretion here. Now, I'm thinking back 2 years ago, the semifinal game that North Central played in was the Muhlenberg game, and that was not even a close game. And then to come back, 2 years later, and this is your semifinal game, which was your second round game 2 years ago. It's very interesting, the progression in life here. And, again, the hosting thing, we can talk about all we want, but still, to have Mount Union in the semifinals.
He's in trouble now.
There's a flag down. There is a flag down.
Yeah, that's when the flag's
It's probably a hold.
Yep, absolutely is. And you're going to decline that hold, are you not, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like,
They're
I was just looking at the
range.
stats. Looks like they've only tried like 6 field goals all year, maybe.
And the extra point missed earlier doesn't help your thought. It was a 25-yard extra point because of a false start. Oh. Whoa!
Oh, jeez, that's a big call right before the end of the half. Holy smokes.
The replay.
Did a lineman get underneath the face mask?
Let's see here.
The football
there.
gods
Yeah,
have been
there it
on
is.
North Central
Yeah.
side.
Oh, he knocked his helmet off.
Now,
Yeah.
the problem
Okay.
is that the North Central player had to stop engaging at that point by Rule 2, and he didn't seem to instantly do it. So if I was Coach Dart, I'd be pretty ticked
Offensive
off on that
linemen
part.
do not stop engaging.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the rule now, though. If you lose your helmet and you are not the ball carrier, you must stop. That's the rule.
Was that trap?
Trap again.
You're not
First down will stop the clock.
Stay
A
on
lot
his feet.
more.
This could be a. Oh man, that guy.
Holding
gotta be
back
penalty
there.
now.
There's a hold back at the 8-yard line.
Yeah.
That nose
man.
tackle stopped the touchdown. What's his name? He is phenomenal.
Duke. Oh, Duke Hill.
Dude.
Yep.
Oh,
He,
I love watching him play football.
he can run.
Now, North Central's got to be ready
Like one
here
of the-
because I believe the clock is going to
Yeah.
run.
Number 1. Huh. Okay. They called
From
it
the
on
spot
one
of the
receiver.
fouls, the
Yeah, it looked
important
like
part
one of the
here.
receivers had tied up a defensive back right down here. It's like kind of almost. Yeah, that was pretty obvious. It like choke slams him at the end here.
Hey, I was pretty good. I
easy
said the
call.
8-yard line. It was at the 8-yard line, so it should go back to the 18 at this point. And apparently, because the touchdown was the end of the play, technically the clock should remain stopped. That's why it's not running here. Touchdown and run out of bounds. I can't tell which they actually called there. 1st and 3.
Oh, out of bounds.
You can run here and get away with it.
Yeah, they got one timeout left.
Yep, but 1st and 3, especially if you can get the first down, that will stop the clock at least temporarily. Probably should be 1st and 1, really.
At the 20. Then we do like a
screen.
Timeout.
Ooh,
Nice
nice
play.
D.
Nice play.
That was
Oh,
quarter.
no, they ran the clock. They wound the clock, guys.
They did?
Yes, we're down to 3 seconds.
Okay.
I guess you try the kick. If you get this kick,
I would
you're
try
at
to
9.
I would just try to throw it to Kaminsky in the end zone, man, or
Yeah.
80, that 84, that big tight end. I would just put it up and
Yeah.
But I want that
Hope someone
2-possession
catches
lead. If I can find a way to get that 2-possession lead without any risk here, I go for this kick. It's just a question of how
Can
bad
you
is
trust
the
him after the missed PAT?
Trust.
As long as he gets the ball off, what's the worst case scenario is you're probably not going to get the touchdown here. The odds are against you there. So go for the odds of the field goal. And as long as it doesn't get blocked, this half is over. 5 seconds left. They put time back on the clock.
Okay. Well, it doesn't look like the rain is coming down like it was, and it even seems like the sky is a little bit brighter now. It's not as gray or dark as it was a few minutes back. So maybe the weather's calming down a little. You can still see some wind in the players' uniforms and stuff, but
I don't see
maybe
Ethan
without
Greenfield's
the
hair
rain,
blowing around the same way either. See a little bit of clothes moving, though, so there is some wind, obviously, there still.
All right. Yeah. I don't know.
They're really not
Besides
going to
they
try
have
to
a
kick this.
receiver and Kaminsky, I would just try to throw
Not
something in
trusting
the
the
corner
wrist.
of the end zone.
Timeout by
Talk
Union.
about it some more. Yep. The chess match continues.
Halftime, we'll talk about the second game a little bit, even though we weren't covering it in our watch party. Wisconsin Whitewater hosting Mary Hardin-Baylor. And one of the things I enjoyed yesterday, and Will, you saw this, was the Protect Kyle King video that they did through the airport. Good to see Mary Hardin-Baylor kind of playing loose there a little bit, because a lot of people have made them a big underdog in this whole thing, and they're having fun with it at least.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting game.
Absolutely. Strength on strength.
Can
Even
Kyle
with the
King
sort of-
survive in the cold? 6
Will he be
touchdown passes
sleeveless?
last week. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna be different than being in Texas.
When you're,
Did you guys see what is the weather forecast up in Whitewater? Anybody notice that?
It's in the
38,
30s.
37, sunny. It had been kind of cold and raining and snowing overnight, but it's not going to be too horrible. Certainly a lot.
Oh, they're
Okay,
going.
What's going on here?
Nope.
What is
field
looks
goal
like
unit
somebody's
late
gonna
here. 13-12 on the
screw
play
us.
clock.
They pull this off
37-yard
What is the
without
point?
somebody making a mistake. Look at the wind's still whipping pretty good, but he's
And he's
What is
What is
directly
the
into
point
it.
of this?
That's a false start, no?
doink,
Oh, they called the timeout. No?
shank.
Yes.
Called the
Oh,
timeout.
Union.
Gosh, he called-
No, it's the false start.
False start.
Okay.
The clock was dead,
that
so put
10-second
the 5
runoff
back
at half
on. No,
too,
there's
B?
not. The clock was dead.
Okay.
Oh,
What is the point of that? I don't understand the logic right
I don't know
there.
if I've ever seen that.
Yeah, that
That was
was
strange.
The
serious?
new
2
swinging
points
gate,
from
basically. You swing your entire offense off.
yeah. I don't know, like they were trying to fake somebody out or whatever.
They're really
To
going to go for a
avoid a blocked
42-yard
kick?
field goal now? Wait, now. If you were really uncertain about 37, you like 42?
Against the
and he
wind.
missed 37.
This guy's only kicked
better kick it.
attempted 3 field goals all season. All right. Well, here we go.
He might get it.
Well, actually,
Oh, he got it! Yes! Oh!
Wow.
Are you
Wow.
kidding me?
Wow.
yeah, actually the timeout or the false start kind of saved him because he missed the first one and gets some redemption on the second.
It let him
Basically-
gauge the win. You
It
know,
was a hook
That
shot,
looks like-
basically.
that kick looks like one of my golf shots.
Basically, he had to position his body in a way that kicked us so far right that the wind took it and hooked it back. You could see his body was completely unusual the way he directed himself because he had to. There's no other way that thing goes in. 16-7 halftime.
Aiming about 10 feet outside the right post to get that in.
That was amazing.
So Coach Donaldson, Coach Paul, if you're Coach Dart and you have, you're going into the half down 16-7 after your offense came out, first possession, scored a touchdown, seems like everything was going your way, and then all of a sudden it's been 16 unanswered points by your opponent in a home game. What do you tell your guys at the half here to try to get them, to sort of forget some of the bad breaks here and there and to turn it around in the second half?
I think number one, you're harping on that. It was self-inflicted wounds. I mean, the fumble, they were going down to drive, and that fumble was on the 20-yard line. That it just play our game, stop turning the ball over, and you're going to be absolutely fine.
Yeah, Mount Union had a chance for a 2-for-1 basically there. They could have ended the half with the ball and gotten the ball to start the second half. Dean Paul was asking that question, I think, for that very reason, I think, earlier about who started the game with the ball. Yeah. So, how important was that turn of events in your mind?
It was big, but like with James' question, I think Mount does a really good job of keeping their poise. I think that's one thing that, from Coach Karras to Vince to, Jeff, they've always done a really good job with that. So I'm sure for them it's just kind of staying on point with that message of keeping your poise. And if they, to Scott's point, if they keep their poise and not turn the ball over in the self-inflicted, mistakes, then they'll have a great chance to be right back where they need to be.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Frank, did you see who won? Do you remember who won the coin toss? I mean, I know that obviously North Central had the ball first, but who's kicking off to start the second half?
It's going to be Mount Union receiving the ball to start.
Okay, so that's where you can kind of get some things started. And before we talk some more football, Coach Donaldson, there's a guy named Anthony or maybe Tony Mariani in the Facebook chat that's saying Donaldson must be one of your former players or a coach or something. You're getting shout outs from some of your fans out there.
Heck yeah. He was a Golden Eagle. We played together a lifetime ago.
Awesome.
So, guys, because we were at lunch hour for all of us here, we're going to replay our discussion from In the Huddle yesterday on our live show about Mary Hardin-Baylor at Whitewater, and then we'll come back a little bit later on in halftime and talk a little bit about that game, if that's okay with you. You don't have to worry about turning off your cameras because everybody will see just what we've got running here in a second. So, bear with us here, folks.
I'm going to go do a little recruiting here real quick.
You go do that recruiting. You got a good 10-plus minutes at least here, so go recruit.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. You break it down by pass and by rush. Overall, I mean, obviously, Whitewater's been more successful in the playoffs in their history, with about looks like 12 more wins and certainly fewer losses over the years. But 478 compared to 461, give or take. But what really stands out to me, Frank, is this. Look how even Mary Hardin-Baylor is. 244.7, 233.3, basically like 11 yards difference between passing and rushing. And so that balance is going to be something that they're going to have to strive for, because as we saw in the Trinity game, when Kyle King struggled a little bit, I think he went 10 for 28 in that game, and his receivers just couldn't seem to get open as well, and maybe he had a few bad throws here and there. It definitely affected their ability to score. And, I mean, Kyle, sort of like Lennon, has the ability to throw the ball to get touchdowns. He can run it in. He's 11 rushing TDs. Both of these quarterbacks, though, Myler, they don't make mistakes. Only 2 interceptions on the whole season is really impressive. Part of that is because they have such a great running game, and that sets things up nicely for them. And so, overall, once again, kind of mirror images. I mean, the rushing defense for Whitewater, a little more stout with 59 yards allowed. They allow a little more through the air. And so I think this is where, when we talked with Kyle about, Brandon Jordan and the one-on-one matchups on the outside, those are going to be a big deal about how far this game goes. And then turnover margin will definitely impact it as well. Plus 14 for the Warhawks is pretty strong. Plus 11 for the Crew is strong. The one statistic that we don't really have in here that could really factor into this game, though, Frank, is stuff that Jefferson Fritz, the Gagliardi finalist, provides. The field position with punting, his ability to return. There's several kick and punt returners on the Crusaders that could really change the effect, sort of the feel of this game, with either a long return or some maybe like a fake punt. I think you mentioned during the Gagliardi broadcast, Fritz having some rushing stats, and those are the times when he takes the ball on the punt and just takes off, and that's a possibility in this game too. Once again, though, I see this as these are very evenly matched teams. Even the numbers, like 18 more yards on offense for the Crew, about 30 yards less from defense allowed. So maybe the statistics sort of favor the Crusaders a little bit, but you look at Myler, 35 passing touchdowns, and the defense is only allowing 59 rush yards per game. That's pretty impressive.
I think the problem is, JB, that numbers can lie sometimes, and it depends on your competition along the way. And I think this is where, unfortunately, for Mary Hardin-Baylor, the fact that the WIAC is the WIAC and the ASC is the ASC is the problem. And there are some strong teams in the ASC, but it's a question of depth from top to bottom. So, if you're playing in your own pool of teams, and they do pretty much their entire season except for one game, you can generate stats that sort of tip the balance of this scale a little bit in your direction. It's not to say that Mary Hardin-Baylor is by any means puffing up their numbers. It's just a reality of the situation. Whereas in the WIAC, we saw some really wacky results from what we expected from some bottom level teams along the way. That's a reminder, those teams, the River Falls of the world, are actually very, power-laden or experience-laden teams that can bite you at any given day or any given minute. So that's where the numbers, I think, are a little bit perplexing to me as to, what to do here, how to make this decision or how to use them when you're making a decision like this. So it is our job to try to do so.
I have one more stat for you. I have one more stat. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this.
Oh, what is the weather?
Saturday's forecast in Whitewater, 80% chance of snow, low of 28. It's going to be – might be some white stuff on the field for this game. It's not going to be as cold as it was in 2019, but for you guys out there, and I'm definitely one of them that likes watching when you turn the TV on and the field is white with little, lines throughout. I think we might get one of those kind of games on Saturday.
Wonder if Kyle King will go sleeveless for this one or not. That'll be an interesting call. Some quarterbacks won't wear sleeves no matter what because they feel like it inhibits their throwing arm. It's a little bit weird for their normal feel like that. So, okay, now let's go to what we're about to, which is the bracket, to sort of show you again that on the left side, it's Mary Hardin-Baylor at Wisconsin Whitewater. It's North Central at Mount Union. JB, it's time to pick some games. I'm going to have you start on the left side of the bracket. Mary Hardin-Baylor at Wisconsin Whitewater.
Thank God there isn't a timer on this one because I have been struggling with this one. So I will say this: when the bracket was released, I picked all the teams. My Stag Bowl matchup was Mary Hardin-Baylor versus North Central. But after seeing Whitewater these last 2 or 3 weeks and seeing kind of what's been going on in the WIAC this season, and they're the home team, it's going to be cold and snowy, I'm starting to change my tune. I want to pick the Crusaders because I feel like their offense has the opportunity to really challenge and maybe do some things against the Warhawks that they haven't really seen. And there's some guys on that Crusaders defense that are pretty impressive. Like, Kavon Shepard, who was my defensive player of the week for the quarterfinals. But it just feels like with all the factors, Myler and McGrath, et cetera, I think this is going to be like a 17-14 Whitewater win. And it might boil down to the X factor for me is really the kicking game. And I think Maldonado, the kicker for Whitewater, has been more consistent and more reliable. And when it's 28 degrees and the ball is hard as a rock, he's going to probably be the called on at least once to kick a pretty decent distance field goal, and he knows how to do it. I don't know if the guys from Texas are that prepared for that, but yeah, I could see it going either way. I think it's going to be a 3-point game, but yeah, it feels like there's too much in favor of Whitewater as the home team, particularly with the weather, to pick against them.
Yeah, and my statistics situation that I was kind of bringing up earlier foretells what I think is going to happen in this game to a certain degree. The bodies of Wisconsin Whitewater, the experience behind those bodies is a difference maker. And here's where I think the difference is. It's the offense right now. I think the balance of the Whitewater offense with the offensive line that they have is the superior force here. The defenses, I think, are actually very similar and could actually both clamp down here. So then you go to the offenses. Which offense is the better performing offense from top to bottom? To me, it is Whitewater's. And Alex Pete, no offense to Cormier, but Alex Pete is phenomenal. He's shown it in these playoffs through and through. And that balance between Myler and Pete and the rest of the running backs, obviously, for Wisconsin Whitewater, is going to win this game in a close-fought game, as you're saying. My score, 21-17 in favor of Whitewater. I just think that that's going to be the difference maker. The defense for Mary Hardin-Baylor throughout the playoffs has played well, even in that Trinity game that we pointed out back in the first round. Okay? So I'm not worried about that, but I just think that there's going to be enough of an edge for that Wisconsin Whitewater offense to win this game, 21-17. There you go. Those were our predictions yesterday on the show, on our live show, and we both picked Whitewater. JB, you had something you wanted to lead in with, and then we'll ask Will his thoughts on this.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm kind of piggybacking off of the tweet I saw from Keith McMillan, and it's really true because ironically, the false start penalty, although it pushed them back, really gave North Central's kicker the opportunity to sort of measure the wind and really sort of line up the shot that he had to take in order to, kind of hook it through the uprights there at the end of the half. So even though it was kind of a mistake on one hand, I'm sure, the lineman or whoever jumped, wasn't an intentional play, but ironically, it actually helped North Central make that field goal because the kicker then had a better sense of where the wind was going and how he would have to angle the ball. And, a lot of times you don't get those kind of second chances. I mean, 42 yards is no guarantee at any level, but it feels to me that was kind of a lucky break of sorts. And there have been a few, when was the last time Josh Petrocelli fumbled? Guy has over 800 career, carries, and then just like out in the middle of nowhere, he just, coughs it up. There have been some kind of fluky plays there in the first half that, for Mount Union, they're going to have to, take this next kickoff and try to, drive down and get some points on the board to put themselves back in the game.
So, Will, you heard our discussion on the second game, the 3:30 p.m. kickoff coming up, which is on ESPN Plus as well. I know these are two teams you haven't faced or really had that much involvement with over time, but you have a good acumen with D3 football generally. And so I'm interested to hear your perspective in this game. Mary Hardin-Baylor at Wisconsin Whitewater. And answer me to that question about the sleeves. Do quarterbacks hate wearing sleeves if they're used to not wearing them? And do you opt to go cold instead of having that sleeve on or that spandex, wherever it is that keeps you warm there?
Yeah, well, to start first, I think the key word in that matchup is at Wisconsin Whitewater. they have a strong, prideful fan base, and they're accustomed to the weather. I think it's gonna boil down to whether or not Kyle King can match his performance from last game. The last two playoff games that UMHB has played, their quarterbacks have been very productive and have given their defense a little breathing room. But you mentioned the balance of Wisconsin Whitewater's offense. I think, I paid close attention, and I had the opportunity to watch Max Myler in the 2019 Stag Bowl, and they didn't call on him as much in the pass game. And I think he's really proven this year. I mean, you see some highlights. He's chunking the ball 65 yards down the field on a dot. And I think he's really coming to his own in that offense, in that system, and his team believes in him. So if I did have to make a prediction, I would take the Warhawks at home. In regards to sleeves, playing ball in Louisiana, it never really got cold. I actually was fortunate enough to play in the state championship, but it was in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome at its coldest point. So our coaches actually wouldn't allow skill position players to wear sleeves because, it increases chance for fumbles, etc. But once I got to upstate New York, I threw the sleeves on just to keep my arm warm. But Kyle King's a country boy too, and he might be a little tougher than me. I don't think we'll see him with sleeves on.
34 degrees, is that what it says there? Yeah, it does for Whitewater.
I don't think we'll see him with sleeves on.
Okay, Coach Donaldson, we see you shaking your drink over there. You're getting your game face on for the second half, but talk about this Whitewater Mary Hardin-Baylor game. It seems to line up as what Will's saying, as kind of the being a very important part of it because you have very balanced teams, and so when that happens, home field advantage matters a lot. What do they say? Give 3 to 4 points to home field advantage. But when you're looking at that weather, maybe it's 7 to 8 points you give to home field advantage. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, it's not just that. It's obviously the playing conditions, and a bunch of Texas kids that might have never seen snow or been in 34-degree weather, played in it before. Obviously, that's going to affect it a little bit, but it's also the travel. And I don't know if they flew up. Who knows if NCAA would actually pay for that or not, or
charter.
But it's staying in a hotel. It's not sleeping in the same bed you've always been sleeping in. I mean, it's not like Division I where even on home games they're staying in a hotel, and so it's just used to them. I mean, this is different for small schools. I mean, anytime you have to do that, it's different and it throws you off your routine. So it's not just the playing conditions; it's everything that goes into traveling and then going up to Whitewater. I mean, I've never been there, but I'm assuming it's like going to Alliance and seeing all the trophies and seeing. Obviously, Hardin-Baylor has a few of their own, but seeing a 10,000 person campus, that's a little bit different than us small schools that have 1,100 kids on campus.
Well, the coach, the school that he has, the guy to your right on the screen, you can't tell that necessarily where you are, but their mascot is the polar bear. So it reminds you just how the weather and the elements are something we pride ourselves on in football and other sports in this area, that's for sure. So there's one question, and this may be the most important question we ask in this entire show, 3+ hours this show that it'll be. Coach, what the hell is a student prince?
I had a feeling it was going to come sooner or later. You know what? It's there's a long story, and I know the story. It's from a German operetta that was released in 1903, I think. And our president, but not that we publicize it very much. None of our graphics are going to say student prince, but you got to own it. You know what I mean? You got to own it. Like there's a whole bunch of polar bears as mascots. There's only one student prince. All right, so that's us.
There you go.
And
I was the graduating class of Union College that had to basically, our gift to the class was Dutch, the mascot for the Dutchman, and it can't be any worse than that. It was not my vote, Will. I didn't make that vote. That was not my decision, okay? I wanted no part in that. Well, buy a bench or a clock or something. That was my whole thing. But, yeah, the student princess saying...
That guy looked like Ronald McDonald from McDonald's.
Yeah,
it's all right. Our mascot looks like a over 7 foot tall Cabbage Patch Kid. So,
the same thing.
You know what? You got to own it. You just got to own it. We're the only one, and everyone just calls us the Berg anyway, with an ERG, not a URG. But,
yeah, good point.
Going back to the weather.
Right. Yeah, go ahead.
Going back to the weather, I mean, playing, and Will know this, playing in upstate New York in November is especially in December, and I only had one of those games my senior year. We played John Carroll, and in the third round. Actually, Tom Arth was the head coach, and he was gigantic. But it's something different now. All right, this Ohio weather is rough, and it's a little more windy, but you don't have the 7 feet of snow and having to actually shovel between quarters and shovel off the lines between drives so you can see them. So at least we're not getting any of that. Is it supposed to snow down at Whitewater?
A little, maybe mixing with rain, that kind of persistent crap that you don't want to stand in. Maybe you can play in it with the helmet and the jerseys.
Well, I think it backed off. It was supposed to, and I think it was like snow, rain overnight.
Look at this graphic.
It's going to warm up.
Look at this graphic on ESPN. Wow. The time of possession.
Whoa.
21-13 to 8:47 in favor of North Central. Are you kidding me?
Jeez.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Fumble obviously had something to do with it in the half.
Again, you take that last drive out of there.
Yeah.
Obviously time of possession is still going to be skewed, but we're looking at a one-score game, if not a Mount Union winning at this point.
Our friend Jim Catanzaro basically just hit us up, listening to the Twitch on the tarmac in Phoenix. Well, I wish I was too. Haven't been able to tune in. How has the NC offensive line versus the Mount defensive line been looking? Will, what would you say?
I'd say they've kind of gotten in a rhythm. I think early on, Mount Union's defense stacked the box a little bit, was getting some pressure on the quarterback, but as we've seen this game go on, they're getting some push, and on first and second down, they're being productive.
Also, we had a question in Twitch from Trombone JB. I don't think the same JB as in our box here. I'd like to point out something. I live in Naperville, and the weather here is a million times better. 5 mile per hour winds, no rain. So. Bitterness persists despite the weather in Naperville today. So we're back to action, and a mediocre return there for Mount Union gives them the ball to 23, but it looks like the weather has improved during halftime. Is that what you're sensing here too, guys, as they snuff out a run here?
Doesn't look to be raining, and that wind didn't take the kickoff through the student section this time, so...
It's interesting, guy.
I don't see I don't know. Towels on the.
I was just going to say, JB, I don't know who won the toss, because I guess you would pick side of field if you had the choice to do it under the circumstances if you win the toss here or in that game. Yeah,
this is Mount Union going against the wind in the third quarter, and they'll have it in the fourth. So
you got to think, you got to think that Mount won the toss.
And there.
Yeah, just short of the first down, it looks like. So,
well, did you guys see that in the halftime stats? I mean, I think Pat said in the beginning of the broadcast that he would expect Lennon to only throw the ball about 15, 18 times, and he's 7 of 8. So he's on track for about a 15 or 16 attempt day. Plunk with a little more, but. That's kind of the Mount Union offense. It'll be interesting to see if they go back more to the run to try to balance off that time of possession, or they just keep slinging it, which is kind of what they do. Nice. Ooh, geez, that's a tough drop there.
But what's interesting too? Neither of these quarterbacks or offenses have really tried downfield. I mean, the the throwback to the tight end for a touchdown for North Central, but I haven't seen any vertical routes getting thrown. I mean, it's all
and that
short.
pass was there. I think that should have been a caught. That looked like it was a good throw by Plunk. What do you think, Will? Was that a drop?
Yeah, I mean, it hit him in the hands. I think we got to bring those in, especially on third down. Got to bail your guy out.
Quarterback's gonna
I mean, it
was a drop.
it could have been a better thrown ball, but when it's all wet like that, you got to go to bat for your guy.
Yeah,
no doubt.
Well, this is going to put the Mount defense in a tough spot. You know, basically Cardinals have it near the 50-yard line, and
Coach Thorne's getting a little fire in those guys right now.
I could see him taking a shot on first or second down here.
With the win, why not?
That would be a big momentum. Yeah, big momentum play. I mean, taking a shot downfield.
Keep going, JB. I'm just we are trying to arrange our next guest here as Coach Paul fell off. We have somebody else in the wings.
Look at this guy producing in the background here.
That's what we do. Come on, you know that.
I agree with you, Coach. I think maybe either a shot to Kaminsky, or if he's covered, and the guy number 6 whose name I'm spacing out on, with that tall wide receiver, or maybe even you do something like with 84 that huge tight end they have, like maybe drag him across, dump it in, just try to get like a 20-yard gain to sort of get the defense on their heels, maybe.
The size of these receivers, I don't know if you could ever consider them covered. I mean, the 50-50 ball. I mean, 6'6" versus 5'10". I don't care who you are. It's in the Mount corners are.
That's basically what Kyle King said about when he throws 50-50 balls to Brandon Jordan, who's about 6'6" as well. It's like it's more like 80-20 for that guy.
It ain't 50-50.
No, that's for sure.
I can see him doing it, whether it's on first down or second down. Probably not out of a timeout here like this, but a little run on first down, hopefully get good sticks, and then take the shot and see what happens.
Yeah, we'll be interested to see if that extended TV timeout kind of takes maybe takes the little momentum off. It felt like North Central had some juice going there, but we'll see if they take their shot here. Minsky's probably going to be open.
One thing it will allow these extended timeouts, and Jim Catanzara's pointing it out, the whole offensive line, defensive line struggle that, might persist when you don't have the 2 and 3 minute TV breaks. It's relentless in that situation. Does that give a slight advantage back to Mount Union if their defensive line's starting to get tired out, Coach? Do you think having those extra breaks?
Absolutely. I mean, we're just not used to them. Usually Division III refs are, all right, go. They want to get out of their home to their family. So it's these TV timeouts. Whether it's an advantage to whichever team, it's an advantage to basically every big guy out there. You get a chance to relax, catch your breath, get a squirt of water. But I think this particular situation definitely an advantage to Mount, because I think you're right. Oh, here it is.
Here's the shot. Here's the shot.
Intercepted.
Picked off.
Did he? Wow.
What a
Malik
catch.
Brett. What a play.
Wow.
Well, just like a really good punt.
I mean, yeah, exactly. Let's watch this. Yeah, I mean, so basically, he kind of ended. Lennon sort of accidentally kind of threw into double coverage there. He just maybe, I don't know if he didn't see that the safety help was there or what, but I mean, the ball was on the money. It was just great play by the safety there.
That safety can cover a lot of ground really fast. When he let the ball go, he was single covered. By the time I got there, he was double covered.
Yep.
Same thing. I feel like I've seen Malik Brett out there for 7 years, and he is a special football player.
Yep.
Well, here's a big drive now for Mount Union, and a nice pass to Wayne Ruby Jr.
Start. Yeah, we haven't said Ruby's name much in a Mount Union game. That's pretty rare. I imagine that they're trying to figure out ways to get him more involved in the offense. He's such an explosive player once he gets his hands on the ball, but it's gonna be tough with this. The secondary for NCC hasn't really allowed him in space too much, but that was a nice play on first down. Here comes Petro.
Not much there, though. Only about 2-yard gain.
Yeah.
Good tackle.
Yeah.
Petro
gotta
was
love these
powerful.
defenses. You're a defensive-minded guy. I know you are. So you got to love these defenses the way they're playing out here.
100%. Trust me, I'm trying to find a way to get the film to break it down and get my GAs to all 22 real fast.
Yeah, there was a nice hole there for a while there, and then all of a sudden 48 just scraped over and closed it real fast.
Nice job by Plunk there. He's buying a load of time and maybe gets close to the first down. Don't think he actually got there. Maybe bailed out a little too early. Yeah. Let's see where they put it, though. Third down.
He's not as fast as Will Bellamy, so he had to give him a little.
He's shifty.
That's a good one.
He doesn't take many sacks. He's not a Kevin Burke that's going to rush for 120 or a Will Bellamy that's going to get you those tougher yardage.
Guys, we have another guest joining us, somebody that faced Mount Union earlier in the season. Yep, linebacker Ian Barr from Westminster, a Glardy Trophy nominee. And if it was up to me, my friend, you would have been a semifinalist or finalist with your play out there. But we'll talk about your future here as we go along. Have you been watching this game at all? And what do you think about this Mount Union team and being down 9 points? Are you surprised at all?
I actually haven't been watching it. Like I said, I've been pretty busy this morning. I was just watching the FCS quarterfinals actually. I think both teams obviously are really, really top level talent, and obviously when we played Mount, it was pretty rough. But they're a physical team. I don't know. I think just from not watching but coming in, I think I wouldn't be surprised if this has been a pretty physical football game. So.
There's a block on that rollout rugby kick there. That was a surprise. Jeez. I mean, you rugby kick it to avoid that situation, and they still got to it. I can't believe it. Let's see this.
Looks like it came real low off his foot.
The wind took the snap a little bit. And that kind of, yeah.
He's taking his sweet old time.
Yeah. Well, it's the rugby kick because you may have the option to fake it or to try to kick away from coverage. So that's designed, what he was doing there. But you remember the chip shot kick he had earlier to the 1 yard line was successful. But Ian, first off, we've asked you before, kind of, sort of. So I guess we'll ask you for sure. While we have you listed as senior, are we going to see you back on the field next year?
100%. Yeah, we're bringing back a pretty good crew. It actually worked out for me. I only had to add a chemistry minor, and I've been taking chemistry classes with my major. So I think I only have to take one class, and I kind of feel like I earned like a year of just school and ball, and not as much of a class load. So I'm actually excited about it. I think I can focus more on football.
Now, med school is next. Is that what the plan is? What's the plan after all this is done?
Yeah, so far, that's still the plan. I take my MCATs at some point this summer, I think in July. So keeping everything open there, and then with we'll see. Everyone's talking about coaching and getting into coaching and stuff, and part of me wants to stay in football, but it's something that has to be considered obviously down the line. But I'm going to do everything I need with med school and talk with my parents and go through that, I guess.
Your mom, who makes some of the best chili around, by the way, I will attest to that. Will, we got a smart one here, the whole sense of football players, Division III. You guys both exemplify on and off field scenarios, and applaud both of you for the stuff that you do in classroom, out of classroom, everything else. I guess I would ask you, Will, to talk to Ian about the idea of coming back for the extra year. Would you do anything differently in your perspective?
Not necessarily. I think I will tell you that only having to take one class would be huge. You'll get to focus on film study, etc., much more. And it did allow me to enjoy the game a lot more than taking a full course load.
So
but
Ian, go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good. Go ahead.
Just going to say, Ian, just feel free to jump in here. We're just watching the plays develop. If you see something you want to comment on, feel free to. Now, finish your thought, Will. I didn't mean to jump in on you.
I was just saying, in terms of changing anything, no. I mean, I have no regrets. I let it all on the field, and that's what I'll tell you to just be a relentless leader and just let it all rip for this final ride.
Coach, you've seen Ian's name quite a bit. You've probably seen some highlights of Ian. You got to take your hat off to him, I think.
100%. I wanted to jump in. Thank you for that segue. But yeah, Ian, I've seen you play. Actually, I watched you play against Mount Union this year. We got that film, and I'm really impressed, buddy. I'm a linebacker coach at heart. And love what you do, man. Love watching you fly around the field, and I'm glad you get a chance to come back and play, man. I think it's a great decision, and I'm really excited to watch you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, I mean,
oh boy,
yeah. Oh boy.
No, this is a possible backbreaker here. Oof! Look at that run. This is where I think all those power runs from the first quarter starting to catch up with the Mount Union defensive line a little bit.
I'm telling you, JB, you hit the nail on the head right there. You run power in the first quarter for the fourth quarter.
Ian, in your game against Mount Union at the beginning of the season, it seemed like, and I was there for, it seemed like your defense wore down quite a bit in that second quarter especially. The first quarter obviously went their way a little bit, but it seemed like the second quarter your team was definitely tiring on the defensive side. And obviously conditioning becomes the question of the first game of the season, with mini spring season and everything else. Take us through that second quarter and beyond and what this team can do to you. And now think about North Central on the flip side of that.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it really wasn't conditioning. I think we kind of got outsized a little bit, especially when they had the ball with as much time as they did. And going in, you think Mount Union, we were thinking, Braxton Punk, all the air raid stuff, big spread offense type stuff, and we were preparing for FIB. And then they came out and started running a lot of ace and 12 personnel and just running down our throats, to be honest. And we just didn't handle that well. I don't think we were well prepared for that going in. I think it was something we didn't expect to see as much. And so it was tough to adjust with that. And we had a young linebacking crew at the time playing inside. So I think, they saw weaknesses and obviously they took advantage of that.
Now Mount's getting a taste of their own medicine to a certain degree that they're not used to in that respect. They're kind of playing your side here in that respect. So it's interesting to watch them try to respond, and at the same time, and Coach Catanzaro had said some other stuff to me. I will elaborate. We were talking about the TV timeouts maybe giving a little bit of an advantage back when those lines are getting tired out. And he said makes a big difference in TV because of the 58-man roster, less rotational guys. It's a good point that, when you're able to get a TV timeout, you're able to get your legs back under you. But right now, a drive like this seems to be a backbreaker and relentless because here they go again. And the option. Touchdown is scored, I believe. There it is.
That was a big play. I was about to say that this could be the turning point, the biggest play of the game right here. If Mount could have somehow held him the field goal, but he's feeling it.
Collarbone?
Yeah, he might have gotten the wind knocked out of him.
It almost looks like he doesn't know where he is, to be honest with you, Will.
Oh.
I think it's concussion.
Yeah,
I think it might have been his shoulder.
His head did whip back a little bit.
I think it's shoulder, ribs, but gutsy play out of that kid, man. Gutsy play, knowing you're going to get whacked. I mean, that speaks a lot to that kid's toughness.
So let's tell a story, Will. After this extra point is good. Everyone's an adventure today, I swear.
Blown into Canton, Ohio.
Will, let's go back to the Utica game this season. Okay? And we were surprised on how Utica played you guys close into the fourth quarter. Now that you're done with your football career, tell the story of what happened to you in the Utica game.
So the week before we were playing against Springfield, and I was scrambling out to the right, and one of their D linemen legit like picked me up and just slammed me down on my right shoulder, and it separated. I could barely like pick my arm up. So Utica was probably our toughest game in 19 during that undefeated season, and I knew I had to play for us to win. So I got a cortisone shot on Wednesday, and because I couldn't throw the ball in practice, I was like, damn, like I'm screwed. Like I can't throw. So I got a cortisone shot, and still hadn't really kicked in on Saturday. So right as everyone left the locker room before we took the field, our athletic trainer, she was like, "Come with me," and brought me a little room. Yeah, Cheryl Rockwood. Shout out to Cheryl Rockwood, best athletic trainer in Division III. She was like, "Come with me and grab a towel," and she was just like, "Bite it," and she whips out a needle about this long, and she's like, "All right, count to 3," and she just straight into my AC joint. And then I went out there. My arm felt like a noodle, couldn't feel anything. Ended up getting the win, which was good. But yeah, it wasn't fun. It was not a fun week for sure.
Did you throw a pick six and make a tackle or try to make a tackle in that game too?
I did not throw a pick six, but I did throw a pick and got a personal foul penalty for targeting.
Nice.
Yeah, it was pretty stupid.
There you go. I can respect that.
It was pretty stupid. It was pretty stupid. I didn't really know where I was after that either. I started calling the wrong plays. It was not my best decision.
Yeah. Ian, what's your best injury story? Because we know your story with basically a new knee is, I believe, what you had to go through. I mean, how you guys exemplify playing injured or coming back from injuries in football, as it looks like Braxton Plunk is absolutely running for his life and almost got that pass completion still. But tell us your stories about maybe choices you shouldn't have made on the football field because of injuries, but you still did it anyway.
Yeah. Well, the ACL happened. Sorry, I'm getting over a little bit of sickness, but the ACL happened. So defensively, we have mad points, like make a difference. So that's kind of how we grade ourselves every week. And I wrestled in high school. I started basically hip tossing linemen, and Coach Benzel would give me mad points for like big hit for that. So I was like, sweet, like keep going. This is awesome. Get my points up. And when we played Morrisville State, they had a tackle. He's probably 380 pounds. He's a big dude. And he was driving me out like after the play, and I tried to hip toss him, same thing. And you can see it on film, like you see my leg where the knee just goes and buckles. And yeah, I mean that was one of my worst decisions. And obviously, I think it was 5-hour bus ride back. I'm in the back just with my leg propped up, and Coach Benzel came back and he watched the broadcast film and has the phone out. And he's like, "Yeah, it was kind of your fault." I mean that one sucked at the time. It's funny looking back on it though. And this year I was playing through 2 AC joints as well. So I went through the same thing. I got shots twice in them. It was just, I mean, it worked and helped me get through. I was playing with like 1980s pads, like Ronnie Lott level pads, just trying to make it through. So
nice.
That's kind of how the year went for me, but we made it through and feel pretty healthy now. So,
defensive line getting their arm up there to block the pass by Plunk, and Ruby had lost the first down on the second down play. He actually ran back across the line, and so that's why it's 4th down and 1. And looks like, is this a timeout by Mount Union, or are they going to kick this? They're kicking.
No, I think they're going to punt.
Yeah.
It looks like Kaminsky's back to receive.
He has a punt return
for
touchdown this season.
Union. You were kind of getting to see Mount Union become a little one-dimensional now.
49-yard line on the plus side of the field for North Central there. So Kaminsky.
At this point, they should just start going for it with 1 yard, because these punts are just brutal. I mean,
yeah. I don't even think it's the wind in that case. I think it was just a bad kick off his foot again. It didn't seem to have any trajectory at all. 7 minutes even, third quarter, 23-7 in favor of North Central. So a 2-possession game, but you need 2 2-point conversions to get there ultimately. Ian, you guys start with Del Val next season?
That is the rumor. So we'll see. I think that's getting finalized. So that'll be a good start to the year for us. And I think we're down there. So, I mean, we're excited for that. It's another opportunity, another big game for us to start the year and, get off on the right foot.
I've been very impressed with the whole pack. I mean, that conference is getting better and better. It seems from top to bottom. I mean,
everything's going up. I think
Grove City. I mean,
right.
I
I honestly thought Carnegie Mellon was criminally underrated. Like I know you guys like in the huddle, expected us to win that game. We knew going in it was going to be tougher than what people were saying, and they didn't even. I think they cracked the last regional ranking. They were last. They were 8th in that or whatever it was. That's a good football team, and their defense was very, very tough throughout the year. I respect the way they play defense, and their offense is a similar style where it's ground and pound, and they can hit their shot plays. Like they're a team that if they score 21 points, they'll probably win games with how good their defense was all year.
Let's see how Lennon is here, guys, after the injury or possible injury from that last touchdown. Does not seem to be staying in plays long. He actually seems to be handing off and ditching. And I wonder if that's not by design here after whatever he went through in that last drive. You would think this is like the knockout drive, that they would be trying to get these 49 yards or at least a field goal to put this game away to a certain degree, the way the clock's going. But let's see what he's looking like here. He almost looks like he is favoring his shoulder a little bit, the way he's carrying himself, but I don't know how bad
he could have gotten a stinger from that hit.
That's interesting, guy. I mean, look, the turnaround to Stag Bowl is only 6 days because it's a Friday night game now.
Yeah.
Again,
very. Why is that this year?
Oh, fumble! Oops, that was lucky.
Well, it's been Friday since I want to say. What
goes back a while?
To move. It was back a while.
I didn't know that.
Remember the year the 21 inches of snow hit, and we had to have a delayed kickoff. I think it was the year after that. It's when we moved to Friday night, actually, because they wanted on ESPNU.
2013 or 14 or 12 or something. It was almost 10 years ago.
We were going to be on ESPN News, I think, or something like that year, and they got pushed to ESPNU, and I think that's why they did it, to keep it there.
With the wind, this ball is going into the end zone for sure.
He almost took a path out of bounds, but not quite. So
yeah, it was like Mount Union caught a break that it didn't. Yeah, exactly. If it just doinked to the right, he could have gotten out at the 2.
Ian, talk about Coach Benzel because he's kind of a guy that not many people were talking about to the degree they have been the last year or calendar year. And we've found him to be a great, engaging guy, but also intense as hell. I mean, what's your relationship like with him?
Yeah, I think me and Coach Benzel have a pretty special relationship. I think we see eye to eye with a lot of things. And I agree, like he hasn't been talked about as one of the top guys in D3, and part of that's just we didn't crack through in the pack until last spring. But it's been something that's been in the works for a long time. The year before I got there, the 2017 team I think was I think they were 8-2 as well, and they lost a tough game. I want to say it was Thomas More, and then they just did not play well against Case. I don't quite remember, but I know like it felt like it was on the doorstep, especially when I got there, and like that's been the standard and the expectation. And just in terms of a guy, like he's a stand-up guy. There's no BS. Josh is an impressive player. He stood out in our game a lot. But
this is Parker, actually. They're dumping to Parker right now. Yep. So number 2 is Josh, but this is
Parker.
Two,
right? Yeah, yep. He changed numbers. He was
2 plays in a row.
Right?
I believe so. So anyway, though, Parker for 2 straight plays, and I wouldn't be surprised if they don't keep doing it until they show that it's not there ultimately. Yeah. Look, if they can score quick, it's like Muhlenberg all over again. Remember, the score last week, oh, my.
That was close.
Incomplete. The score last week was 21-9. Was that not the score, JB, at one point?
Yeah.
And they came back to win the game in overtime. Obviously, they got a 29-21 lead at one point. So this is that same point in the game where they turned everything around.
And that's where the wind, you can see the wind sort of affects the ball there, and the receiver just couldn't quite get it roped in, but that was a nice throw under the circumstances.
This offense can score a lot very quickly.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, especially in the fourth quarter when they're going to have the wind at their back.
Oof.
The wind starting, I think, to carry things on him a little bit there. The last 2 passes seem to be affected. That's not a Braxton Plunk throw.
Ruby's trying to get a PI call there, but I think just it was a little bit too high there. He's not
uncatchable. Yep.
Yeah. But this is where I think if you're Mountain Union, you can maybe use the pursuit of the Cardinals to your advantage. Try to drop balls in and pick up some yards. But 3rd and 10, they're going to have to get something good going here. If not, Plunk's going to have to run for his life. And nice.
He got
move
the first down.
Baseball slide, and that's going to be a flag.
Yep. No flag. But it's interesting because the way he started his slide, I thought they may take it back behind the line, but they're going to give him the full benefit here. Just enough. By about a half a yard.
Okay, it's like a little bit incidental contact, I guess. It looked he was.
Yeah, they were already in motion there.
That's a good non-call.
Those quarterbacks every time.
Well, a little bit about sliding as a baseball player, right? Quarterback's best friend is the slide.
Did y'all see Kenny Pickett do the fake slide last week?
Oh yeah,
that's dangerous.
Yeah, that was great.
That's dangerous now.
Awesome.
I haven't seen that yet. That was the first time I seen it.
Oh
boy!
They get through here.
That's jailbreak right there.
A fake slide can turn into targeting real fast the next time.
Oh, you think?
Yep.
Yeah. I think they changed it. Like they definitely came out and said that's not legal. Like that's the flag.
Technically, it's deception.
Yeah.
Mm.
I guess they should have just called him down where he did that at.
Dancing.
J Bow 1969 says hello to us in our Twitch chat as well. So hello, J Bow. Appreciate you joining us. And we have plenty of stuff going on in Facebook that I'm not able to keep up with because this is a big point in the game. And what are we having an issue with here, guys?
Or illegal procedure?
Really? Had refs like
North Central
talking about
pointing at the Raiders' offensive line, and now the Raiders are pleading their case.
So what may have happened was a North Central player may have been across one of the linemen, and so they're trying to draw a neutral zone infraction against them by jumping. But if you don't see the guy in the neutral zone as the referee, you call the false start, and that's where the problem is here for Mount Union. Now it's 2nd and a mile.
Yeah. Oof.
Ian.
Yeah, this might be one of those where you try to just get 10 or 12 and then you live to fight on 3rd and long.
I brought up your name last week, or about a week and a half ago. Spencer Kieran was joining us from Muhlenberg, and you probably know that name pretty well in Pennsylvania. And it amazes me, what's your height and weight right now?
I'm like about 5'8", 175, working on getting the weight up so I can play in the box more.
Ooh.
It amazes me that you guys, with your dimensions, play linebacker as well as you do. It's crazy to me because the prototypical linebacker is what 6'2", 245, 230 type situation. You guys play at that level, and you're not even close to that level in terms of dimensions. It's crazy.
That's a lot to do with wrestling, man. If you know how to, go in and on a body, it's half the battle.
It's be 4th down and 10 coming up, guys.
Also, North Central getting a lot of pressure with only a 3-man rush.
Do you go for it here now? 4th and 10 at the 50.
The way my punter's been punting, hell yeah.
You have to.
This is 4-down territory, man. And you're down 16 with a minute in the 3rd quarter left, basically. They got to go for it here for sure. Wayne Ruby,
4th and 8.
Try and get him the ball. Run with it if you're Plunk. If the protection fails, they need these 8 yards bad.
Oh, he's in trouble again, and he's down. The ball's out.
Oh, no.
Oh, that's what you couldn't have happened.
That's brutal. That is a brutal oof.
It's the double whammy. Not only do you turn the ball over, you turn the ball over about 15 yards back.
Yeah, well, he's lucky it wasn't a scoop and score for the Cardinals, honestly. He made a heads-up play by bringing it in after the fumble. I mean, yeah, this number 9 is just killing the offensive line right now it was a heads-up play by Plunk there. And here's John Travolta here having some fun, dancing on the field.
Number 9
football's supposed to be fun, guys.
Number 9 for North Central, Dan Gilroy, 6'3", 242, the junior. What's your senior situation at Westminster there, Ian, at this point? How many guys do you have coming back next year on defense?
I think the only one right now that is a for sure no is probably Frank Antuano. He's got a job lined up, and he's, I guess, maybe thinking, I don't know, we'll see. But everyone else is either for sure coming back or in the works of trying to figure out their class schedule. So at least, right now we've got 10 guys coming back on paper for what we know of.
That's
great.
Quite a feat right there.
I mean,
It's awesome.
I want to
on offense. We're losing 2 linemen. But Cole's coming back.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, the rest of the pack is thrilled to hear that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Okay, look at Lennon there, guys. First time we've actually seen him involved in a play since that injury, and looked okay.
He's feeling it a little bit. He's fighting through. He's tough, and until now, I felt the sense of urgency from the offense to try to do something while they still had the win, but. I think they're just going to stick with their same game plan, which is just going to keep grinding the clock down with the power run and maybe take a shot over the top and put this one to bed. But, I mean, the Raiders had their chances. They just had a couple of some tough plays that haven't gone their way so far, and you just got to credit the size and speed of North Central. They're just a dominant team, man. Okay, so Coach Bellamy and Coach Donaldson, I'll go to you two for this one. How do you get back in this game if you're Mount Union at this point? Obviously, it's a problem now. You're down 2 scores and two-point conversions just to tie it. I mean, what do you do? Can you go bombs away?
No, it's not at that stage yet. 50 minutes is a lot of time, especially for an offense that can go as fast-paced as Mount can go. I mean, they can go lightning fast if they want to as far as getting plays up. The biggest thing is just moving the chains. I mean, that's what we're seeing right now is they're getting into third down situations, and they're not, whether it's 3rd and 4 or 3rd and 12, they're not finishing those and keeping the drives going. 15 minutes is a lot of time. So it's, again, kind of what Coach Paul said at halftime. Calm them down. All right. You got to make sure you get a stop here because then it's a different situation. But just make sure your offense knows that they can score on these guys and stay on schedule.
Coach Bellamy.
To add to that.
Well, I was just going to ask you, what were you down going into the 4th against Case Western Reserve in that comeback win that you guys had? Were you down 2 scores still at this point?
Yeah. Yeah, we were down 21 after halftime. And we had to storm back. But I would add on to Coach Donaldson's point. If you watch the last drive that Mountain Union had, they're playing behind the sticks. It's 1st and 15, 2nd and 13, which is not easy when you're playing from behind. And another note that I'll make is if you watch Mountain Union's past 2 games, the legs of Josh Petroselli have kind of gotten them back into the game in the second half. And they've completely abandoned the run game. I mean, I haven't seen them run the ball in the last 2 drives.
Happened in Muhlenberg last week, too. The same thing until just out of nowhere, he comes back in for a 53-yard touchdown run, and it turned the game around. But you're right. They abandoned the run for certain periods of time, and I'm like, why, ultimately, if that's there? I don't get it.
I don't know. I think they're kind of pressing. And you see Braxton Plunk, he has the quick passes when he gets them, but when he's dropping back, there's defenders in his face.
Then I
Okay,
tell you
Coach
what,
Barr. Okay, go ahead, Coach.
Barr.
Go ahead, Coach.
Oh no, I wanted to give props to the North Central corners. these receivers are elite level. I mean, might be playing on Sundays elite level, and those guys have been open for Braxton all year. I mean, where he always had a fail safe. He knew he could throw that dropout comeback. He knew he could throw that hitch, and they're not open right now.
Yes, Coach Jeff Thonry, guys. They've changed his name to Jeff Thonry instead of Thorne. Yeah, graphics may want to work on that in the meantime. Ian, take us through what you would do if you're Mount Union here, as Ethan Greenfield gets a little chunky yards.
I agree. I think they can abandon the run game. Just from seeing what they were able to do personally, I think their run game is very strong. I think it gives them the ability to hit some of these shot plays. Like, they're down 2 scores. It's 15 minutes the way that they can score. It's a very close game. Maybe get a stop here, get a big return, get some field positioning. Since I've been on in the second half, it does not look like they've had good field position the whole game. I think that's something that they should probably be focused on and trying to improve that, obviously, in this fourth quarter. And just play smart football. No reason to be concerned for them. They're a team that's been here before and has been in these moments. So I think if I'm them, I'm just staying calm and know that we've got guys that we can make plays, whenever.
Jared Thornton smacked with
big
the holding
moment coming
call
up
there.
here, 3rd and 15.
Yep. Let's see what they end up doing with that.
Mount Union might need to get a little creative on offense this next drive.
This is
What's
creative.
going on here? Oh, you got to be.
My
Oh,
goodness.
geez. What a hit.
What was that?
7 just came out of nowhere. And
I know one of the first questions
need
I'd
the
be
ice bath
asking
after this game, man.
Yeah, our media access, I think, is on Wednesday, and one of the first questions I'd be asking him is, how you feeling today, Luke? How's that recovery going?
Yeah, he's taking some licks in this game, man.
Okay, 14 minutes left, 4th and 6. Are they going for this?
They're going to go for it. Yeah, I think
Why
they're
not?
sort of in no man's land, especially with the wind in their face. And, hey, I mean, Greenfield's been averaging 6 yards a carry, basically, and why not?
Yeah, don't be surprised if they hand it off.
4 receiver set.
And
Greenfield,
first down.
that might as well be the
Taking something out
handoff
of
there.
Mount's playbook right there.
Yep.
Hitting a little angle route.
Doing his best Devontae
Nice.
Parker impression is Ethan Greenfield there for the first down, and that is huge. I mean, that's another 2 minutes off the clock, probably.
I mean, yeah, the defensive line tried a stunt there. This offensive line is just holding up, and pretty much nobody's coming through.
Greenfield truly embodies what a 3-down back is in college football.
You can see his hair is blowing around, so the wind is back, guys. And you can look at the pants on the referee as well on the bottom of the screen. Right at the red zone.
Just more clock killing time.
There was 14 minutes left to start that last play, basically, the one where they got the first down on 4th. So, like I said, they're going to get at least 2 minutes off this clock at this point. That's pretty deadly. So, Ian, you're saying coaching, maybe not. Well, what are you going to do? You can be a doctor and a coach at the same time. Granted, that's going to be pretty ferocious schedule-wise, but what do you think?
I definitely don't think I would put both that on my plate. I don't know. I like where my heart's at versus what might be best for me going forward, and I don't know. It's a tough call, and I got to make that decision. It's through the summer and just really sit down and think, and the pros and cons of both. The one thing I know, at least, like, I feel comfortable. I was blessed with the scholarship I got with Westminster. It's like I can make a living with the GA salary and be all right, for a little. So if I have to struggle that way, I can do it. I don't know. And part of it's just playing school and having football like in the spring and the fall. Honestly, was taxing. It didn't feel like there was a break. And I think a lot of players felt that way. And, guys that I know from home that I went back and saw on Thanksgiving break kind of echoed that same message. So I think like we all kind of want to break, and it'll be good to just sit and recuperate a little bit and then get back in the spring and kind of, go from there.
JB and I join you in that. This has been a hellacious calendar year. Not that we haven't enjoyed a lot of it, but at the same time, it's been crazy the level of football that we've had to cover here in this whole situation. Coach Donaldson, what would your best recommendation be to a guy like Ian here who's got so many different things? Hold on, we're going to go to the field goal here first. Yeah. The adventure in field goal kicking. Look at uprights.
The goalposts are being blown over.
Oh, boy.
And the hook shot is
he's
good.
He's got his the chip shot.
It's like bowling right now.
Chip dart's like, I thought we tipped those things the right way, not the wrong way. Okay, Coach.
That looks like the south end zone of Ray J. I swear to God that those things are definitely a little bit off kilter.
Coach, what would your advice be to Ian?
We have a lot of guys at Heidelberg that end up going into coaching and are very successful. It's not an easy life, brother. It's a fun life. Don't get me wrong. And being a small college coach it's not easy. I'm just telling you now, but I would explore the doctor route first. You're going to make a hell of a lot more money, and your quality of life will be a little better. But I had hair a long time ago, and it was. But no, coaching is an amazing profession, and I love it. And I would never change a thing in the world. I love what I do. Every morning I wake up, I love what I do. But it ain't easy, and
yeah,
especially when you get a family.
I love when I get to go shadow and stuff. That's what I love. But doing school and having 8 to 10 years of school just looks daunting,
Oh, I can imagine that, But being a GA is also pretty daunting. Knowing how I treat mine.
What's your GPA though, Ian? What's your GPA?
Like a 3.9.
Yeah. Let's stick to the doctor stuff. We need a guy like you. Exactly. Will's giving you props right there for that. Will, what about you? I know you want to do sports agent stuff, possibly, maybe the law school realm. And are you thinking coaching at all in the whole realm?
It's for sure in the back of my head. If law school doesn't work out, but I think I'm gonna go to school some more and get some letters behind my name with a JD, I think, and see where it goes from there. Trying to figure out how to combine sports in my life and money, I guess. If that makes sense. So I'm gonna let it rip right there and see what shakes out.
Yeah,
but
you go, man.
I think deep down there is a coach in me somewhere. Whether that be coaching my kid one day as an attorney, I don't know.
Well, JB, you're the money man of this show, so what are your thoughts?
What it boils down to, I think, is just, you want to pursue what you're passionate about, and if you're doing that, you're going to be successful and be happy. But with everything in life, there are trade-offs. I mean, there's certain careers that are really stressful that pay a lot, and there's careers that are stressful and don't pay that much. And you just got to know at the end of the day, what really drives you deep down at your core, because, and you can be somebody, just even when you're almost 48 years old, you can be like a guy like me. I'm going to change my career pretty drastically in 22, and I'm still young enough to do that. You're never too old to try something new, even though for me it's something I used to do 20 years back. So life takes you down some funny paths, and you just, take the advice that the people that care about you and want you to be successful. But at the end of the day, you got to make the call, and just like anything else in life, it's just a day-by-day thing. We can try and plan down the road, but who knows what's going to happen.
Well, Braxton Plunk getting sacked, and I've just asked the question, and our crack research staff, namely Pat Coleman and Greg Thomas, are researching as we speak. My question was, what is the worst loss, not in a Stag Bowl, because Whitewater did take it to them at least once in that whole cycle, for Mount Union before today, in, let's say, the last 20 years or so? And I can't remember a 2-possession-plus loss in a game that's not in the Stag Bowl for this team. We're going to find out, though, in a little bit. We'll see.
Well,
Actually,
I have a feeling.
hold on,
I have a
hold
feeling
on.
that Union's
I got to say this. This is a good moment
geez.
after another Braxton Plunk moment here. Incomplete. I asked, what was the worst loss not in the Stag Bowl for Mount Union before today? Greg Thomas's answer was Larry Karras retiring.
Okay. Yes, indeed. Well played.
Well done, Greg.
That last
he's
play,
somewhere on
what
the
we just saw
sideline
was
right
exactly
there.
what Coach Donaldson said. These corners for NCC, man, they're just blanketing the Raiders receivers.
That's hard to do.
Also,
That's very special. They're not going to have any stats at the end of the game, but they're what making this defense go right now.
Okay, since
playing behind
1998.
the sticks again, 3rd and 14.
Since
Yep. He's
1990.
about to just get whacked. Nice catch there. That's a big first down for the Raiders. They needed that bad. Wow. Okay. Here they come.
We're looking through this. We're back to 1998, I think, at least.
Probably before probably before what I would call their Stag Bowl era, which started in 95, right?
Yeah, give or take.
Yeah.
93 was it? Or no, 90, maybe 95.
95, I think, was the first one.
Well, not dead yet. There's Petro.
Look at him just drag this guy.
He's a big
But
kid.
he's got to get a better grip on that ball because he was held out there again, and that's how we got into trouble in that first half at the end of that half.
Yeah.
Nice stuns.
Well, it was a smart play there. Just gets rid of it, and look at just that's hours in the weight room right there. I mean, because 45 isn't a little guy; it's like a 200 plus pound linebacker he's dragging down the field.
Yeah, this is interesting. You asked this question,
Shot.
Jake Beasley. He's good.
What a play by
the wind down honestly got under that one, I think, to hold it up, and it held up too long.
Yeah, that's Jake Beasley, 6'4". We watched him play. He started in the Stag Bowl against Whitewater in 19. I was impressed.
I was going to ask you this earlier, Will. Play. You and Will Sermon came down. You joined us on our pregame show on D3Football.com. What was your takeaway, your honest takeaway, when you saw the bodies on that field in Shenandoah about whether or not a team like Union right now could compete with bodies like that on the field? What was your takeaway on this 3rd and 3 play, which is incomplete, 4th down coming up? Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, now that I'm done playing and I can be transparent and honest, the bodies it's not even comparable. It really isn't. I mean, the physicality, the body build, the muscle tone, the speed. I mean, we had some speed with Andre Ross Jr. and IK Iribor, but when you look at IK and you look at Ethan Greenfield, there's a 35-pound difference. And when you look at these receivers and Andre Ross Jr., I mean, these kids are just built. I don't know if their strength and conditioning staff is elite, but whatever they're eating, the Liberty League needs to start eating it too.
Here's your ball game, honestly, and Plunk in trouble again. Complete first down.
Oh wow! What a play!
Wow.
The backup tight end.
That was Braxton just keeping that alive and making the throw. Nice catch too there, but yeah, I mean he was in a world of hurt right here, and just geez, the one defender got like body checked by his own teammate linebacker at the end of that. Oh man, huge first down.
I don't think this will be the last time we see these two young quarterbacks duel it out.
I have a feeling you're right.
Yeah,
is there a flag down?
Look at
I
this.
saw something fly.
Still won't go down.
Does he have the ball?
Yes.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
But this is taking a lot of time off the clock. I get he's fighting for yards, but they might lose about 20, 30 seconds because of this pile up here.
You need 3 possessions here, basically, don't forget.
Got to mind the clock a little bit, you know.
There was a Braxton Plunk sandwich
still
there.
Running. It's going under 8 minutes.
Petro.
Ian, did you play Mount Union in Alliance?
No, we played at home. We were supposed to play them there in 2020 in the fall.
I got you.
And obviously, that didn't work out.
I do
yeah,
like
you were talking
that you
about the
guys.
I
Liberty
respect.
Yeah,
with the
I
size.
respect how your
Hobart, I think,
coaches.
Hobart size up front.
I respect how
Very
your
hard.
coach is going and scheduling these big dogs in the regular season. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, our old AD before Coach Daffler retired, he actually was a Mount Union guy, so he helped set it up, which is awesome. And that's been our mentality. Is just
Oh, there you go.
there you go.
That's really cool.
I mean, you got to play these guys to see what it's like, and we want to get into these conversations. We still haven't made it to the playoffs with Coach Bendel there, so this is the start. We have a good chance next year. So.
What was your alumni reaction, Ian? Because one of the things that Coach Benzel and I talked about was the ability to show your alumni, boosters, supporters, whatever you want to call them, what you need to be that elite team ultimately, or to beat those elite teams out there. What was your alumni reaction? Were they down on you guys, or did they get a good education as to what the state of D3 football really is right now?
I don't think it was negative by any means. Obviously, some people weren't surprised by it. We thought we could have made it a closer game, and it went the way it did. But our alumni, they won a lot of national titles back in the 90s and in the 80s, 70s. So they're guys that want to see us play these good teams and want to see us get back in these conversations. So I think they're supportive and understand that it's kind of the start, to have these chances. So.
Timeout. Wind is blowing pretty badly there. Third down coming up for Mount Union. 6:44 left. Now that's good to see that people understood it because we asked the question during the reveal show for the bowls. Did you guys regret at all? Because that may have played a factor in you guys not getting a Pool C bid. Let's be honest. Ultimately, with what your final record was, and you guys said without a heartbeat, skipping, we don't regret it one bit. And ultimately, and so I applauded that answer and without hesitation. But not everybody necessarily sees it the same way out there. But who matters at the end of the day? You guys, your coaches, your program does. So it doesn't matter what guys like us say. It matters what you do ultimately. I saw Coach smile when I said that. When I said it doesn't matter what the hell we say. But Coach, you don't have a choice. You've got to play Mount Union every year. So when you have to schedule an out-of-conference opponent, do you struggle because of the challenges you already face with your John Carrolls, your Mount Unions, your Baldwin Wallaces, et cetera, already? Do you sort of go for maybe somebody a little lower on the depth chart of D3 when you're approaching it?
I think what also the common misconception is it's not easy finding a non-conference game. I mean, it is very, very difficult. And I'm kind of in the issue right now. We have Adrian next year, but I'm looking for a 22 and a 23, or a 23 and a 24. And teams don't really want to play teams that finish high in the OAC, and it's because not only do you have to, find an opponent that's willing to play. My budget ain't very big. And, traveling, we played Cortland for a 2-year stretch. I mean, I had to fundraise an entire year to play, to afford to go up to Cortland to play and lose on a Hail Mary. And that's a lot of money. So it's about finding someone that is drivable, that'll actually play. That's the first. Lucky Adrian's is getting better, and they actually beat Albion this year, which really helped us in the regional rankings. But that's the first criteria. It's not about what level is this team. It's about will they play us, and are they close enough to drive? Touchdown, nice play.
Yep, absolutely.
Nice play by Jaden Manley right there.
Yep,
nice play. I
so
think Manley's kind of the unsung hero. He's had a great year this year, and doesn't get the accolades the Rubies and those guys do, but he's a phenomenal football player.
Yeah, they need to go for two here. Touchdown, two, and field goal would at least tie you, and then think about all the kicking issues anyway. You don't want to lose extra points if you can avoid it. You can see the uprights are actually swinging right now as we speak.
Some trickery. Petrocelli in the slot.
Oh, trying to leak him out late. It wasn't there.
Well, return for two would be interesting. Oh, hello.
Yeah.
Fumble. But it's dead.
Don't jump on it. Get in
Nope.
there.
Yeah, no dice there, but okay.
13-point
I was
game.
thinking that maybe Plunk would try to run it in himself, but
It's
too
not really
much
his
pressure
style.
up front.
So,
Yeah, it's not.
Coach Benzel, if you're watching this, the guy down there in the middle box might be looking for a game. Maybe we can play matchmaker a little bit in a couple of years. So,
Yeah.
Heidelberg, you want to talk
One of
about
our,
this guy's
one of our super fans. One of our super fans said Salisbury's got openings, and I'll give Kevin DeWall.
Well, number one, I'm not playing triple option. I am not playing a triple option in week one. I'm just telling you that right now. That is
Okay, Geneva's out. Okay.
I'm not happy.
Westminster, telling you, it's a short trip.
Maybe we
guys.
can get a one-on-one with Hobart for you. Heidelberg Hobart has a nice sound to it.
I want to say 9 and 10. We played Westminster.
2009, 2010.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah.
I remember it going through. Yeah.
It had to be. Yeah, because we stayed out in Youngstown and drove in, and I remember getting stuck behind a horse and buggy, and we were late. I actually remember that our bus got stuck behind a horse and buggy, and we were late to get there. We had to rush. But yeah, I think it was 9 and 10. Both of us were both kind of building to where we are now. But there were some good football games.
They didn't warn you about the horse and buggies because literally somebody said to me, make sure you leave early because the horse and buggies will actually cause you an issue.
We weren't ready. We were not ready.
Oh, man, that's too funny.
We'll someday go to Western Pennsylvania and see it for yourself. That's all I can tell you because it's a moment that you're like, this really does exist in our country still. It absolutely does.
Yeah, I can't say that I've been to Western Pennsylvania.
Well, it is. Maybe you can drive over to
First
there
time for
from
everything.
Stagbowl, right? Because you're going to Canton, so there you go. But, Coach, I find it ironic you're complaining about a Hail Mary situation against Cortland. How many cardiac finishes did you have this season and last season in the spring? Come on,
Couple
man.
back-to-back there, that's for sure.
Yeah, the last 2 weeks of this year aged me about 25 years. I mean, it was and they were two completely different games. The John Carroll game was the cleanest football game I've ever played in my life, ever been a part of. No turnovers, hardly any penalties. Just you had to make plays to win, and we ended up making two at the end there to win. And then the Ohio Northern game, and Coach Paul will tell you, it was an ugly turnover, just wild football game that we ended up pulling out, driving 70 yards in 35 seconds to win, and it was wild, but that was the
onside
OC
kick or not, guys. Onside kick or not here. Is it too early?
You got 3
You
timeouts
have the wind
left,
behind you. It's just, I think it's too much of an X factor. I mean, they still have all 3 timeouts, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Here's
the other problem.
I think you give your defense a chance
if you
to
hold
hold
them.
them.
You're going to get good field position.
If you need to put a holder on the tee,
Yeah.
you're going to lose one of your men that you need for the onside kick right now, too. That's the other challenge here. You don't want to have 9 guys running after it. You want all 10.
The kicker's lining up like he's going deep, but maybe he's going to try and pull a fake one here. We'll see. Well, there's some motion.
Now
and,
he's
they're going to
required.
need a holder.
Yep, second
Does North
time
Central
down.
have their hands team out there?
You would
What do they
hope
got?
so.
Doesn't look like it.
No, I don't think so.
Looks like the sun's trying to come out now, but it's just windy as hell.
Yeah. Yep.
No, you
And then
don't have the
when
hands
you see
team out
when
there.
you
You
see
might wanna-
like when you see guys with
Little
number
push.
49 in the front row of your receiving team, that's not the hands team.
Does he kick it to himself?
You're right. He did
Yep.
push
Kick
kick.
it to himself.
And he
Good
did it.
call.
North
He
Central
didn't
got
do
it, I believe.
No way they got it.
Oh, there's a flag though. There was contact before it went 10 yards.
I'll be honest with you, and if this goes for review, I think he didn't touch it till he reached the 45. It depends on the angle.
You can't make contact to the ball
With
another
that's what I'm saying, though.
person.
Well, let's see. Let's see a replay here. Get us a little audio too here. It's tough call because.
I love the call. Great call.
It's a great
Chris Dunn.
kick.
Love the call.
Oh yeah,
Great
absolutely.
kick. Love it.
think I got somebody at the door. Give me a second, guys.
You got it.
Back.
Actually, that official, this is one of the officiating crews that I ran into in New York, I believe, this season. So I think you got a New York-based officiating crew out there. Procedure.
Oh, that's a heartbreaker.
You know, you're right. It was blocking before was the call. Re-kick. Yeah, right there. You're right, Coach.
Yeah,
good call.
Yeah.
Good call.
Close, though.
Game of inches.
Yes, sir.
Who had it ultimately, though? I mean, is there a requirement to re-kick here? Because did Mount Union actually get it?
It's sad if they
That's a good
didn't.
point. I didn't see who actually recovered.
Because you would decline that if North Central landed on it.
Yeah, Mount had to come out with that, I think.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Well, do it again.
I hope now we got
place
the
under review. Well, we get a review here, so. What were we doing for dinner tonight, guys? No, just kidding. I don't know what they're reviewing here exactly. It's clear that you're right. It was a block before 10 yards. Oh, wait a minute.
I don't know.
Does the ball have to go 10, Coach?
Yes.
His block is at the 11-yard mark.
That is close.
His block's at 11, so that's for sure. But the question is the ball.
Yeah, the ball has to be past 10 to make contact. I think that was put in 2 years ago, maybe 3. It makes getting onside.
Oh, so that you didn't hold back everybody? Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, you can't just go and kill those front guys and have the ball.
I'll tell you, the number of onside kicks we've seen successful in this postseason is crazy. Granted, Cortland's shouldn't have counted against RPI. They batted the ball illegally forward, so that should have been actually a penalty, and they should not have gotten that. So in the end, RPI getting the interception, which was controversial in itself, was probably a good thing. But, you know, still, they got awarded it. We've seen about 3 other ones get awarded in this postseason. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that linesman right there is somebody I've come across a couple times this season as an official. So it is a crew from this region, to say the least. It's bad when I recognize the referees. That should tell you a little bit about me and how little of a life I had this season.
I was going to say that's usually my job, boss. And usually if I can recognize you, it's not a good thing.
Yeah, good point. Ian, you guys were actually my second game of the season this year. Second out of 19 games that I covered. My 20th game's going to be in Canton.
What was your drive to get to us?
We started. I went from up here in upstate New York down to New York City to my place down there. Drove to FDU Florham for the Merchant Marine game. That night, I drove the entire trip out to Westminster and stayed in the neighboring town there. Drove back up through Buffalo, stopped at the Buffalo State game versus Fisher, and drove home that night without stopping. I did an hour nap in the rest area. I think that was it. So that was about a 1,000-mile trip for the first 3 games of the season and opening weekend. It was crazy. Will I ever do it again? Probably not.
Where are you staying when you get out to Canton?
Good question. I was actually going to ask that question today, and are they awarding Mount Union the ball?
It looks like they're kicking again.
That's a kickoff.
Okay,
too.
there's a T. Yep, you're right.
Okay.
Yeah.
But,
I don't know
again, why not
was.
do it? The ruling was it was just short. There was no change. I don't know if they confirmed it or not, but it was no change of the call. You see, and the ESPN's in need of their rules expert here because they're talking about the old rule, not the new rule that you're bringing up, Coach. They're actually kicking deep, and that's disaster.
Oh, don't go out of bounds.
That whole thing
Okay,
just
what I
blew up.
missed?
Not you missed a review. Basically, that's all it was.
Okay.
And then they kicked out of bounds.
Perfect timing. All right.
If you
So
can
go
get
to
a
the
stop, you're still going to get the ball in decent field position with this wind. You know, you're not thinking this guy can put it 40 yards downfield. If you can get a stop at the 35 and keep them there,
You just give it to
Still gonna have a
Greenfield
short
and
field.
Greenfield and Hill. We're all kind of watching here to see what when they're going to send the offense into the field. Do they think we're in a timeout or something?
Could be one of those TV deals, but yeah, they're still rolling.
These ESPN Plus broadcasts are a little bit more herky-jerky than, let's say, the polished ESPN stuff that they do. So sometimes the spotters don't realize they shouldn't be in break when they aren't.
Yep.
Come across that with the Secretary's Cup game a lot.
Haven't seen this play all day.
Yeah. Ian, how do you stop a play like that? I mean, seriously, how do you stop a player in a play like that as a linebacker? Is there anything you can do, do you feel like, at this point?
Yeah, you have to get to the line of scrimmage before those linemen can turn their shoulders at you. You know, these guys are so big, if they get to that line of scrimmage and they're able to turn their shoulders, I don't care how good your linebackers are, they're going to run through you. You know, so it's about fitting it so fast. It's not easy.
Yeah, I mean, out of that set, I almost think you go to a bear front potentially.
Yeah, but that's what they've been in. They're double 4-eye bear front almost, but you're right. You know, squeezing them down to the guards will help on that particular play, but
it's tough.
Another 2 minutes off the clock.
It's much easier said than done.
I'm having flashbacks to when I was in high school and I was playing JV, and our coach basically would run the same play every time until the opposing defense stopped it. So it'd be like dive right, dive right, dive right, dive left, dive left. It seems like the same kind of thing here. They just keep pounding, the same zone and just don't. It's working. Hey,
yeah,
if it ain't broke.
Yeah.
There it is, once again. I mean, and when you have an athlete
6
like
yards.
this guy.
Hold on.
Oh.
Flag.
You might have an Academy Award-winning performance by number
Yes,
72.
that was nice.
He's selling it. No. Ah, well. At least it stops the clock if you're Mount Union, but they need to come up with a turnover or something here. I mean, Ian, is that something when you guys are, kind of back against the wall as a defense, when like you got to come up with a play? Are you guys talking to each other, being like, okay, someone get a fumble recovery, someone get an INT? That's something you guys actually talk about, or are you just focused?
We were. I think it hurt us, especially the Carnegie Mellon game. Our offense just, wasn't getting the ball moving. It was like, we got to make a play. And I think it actually hurt us. We were, playing a little undisciplined compared to normal, trying to make a play. And, they started giving it to us late there.
Oh, boy.
A little end around. That's not going to work. Oof. Wow. Do you see how fast 13 came up there? And that's
stayed in bounds, though.
Nice corner stick.
And by the way, the benefit of the penalty, obviously the yardage, but the detriment, the clock it wound there, so it killed another half minute off that clock. So yay to the penalty, but sometimes you have to think about declining that stuff if you need the clock in this situation, unfortunately.
Well, this is a rare behind-the-sticks moment for the Cardinals, and Will's been talking about Mount Union playing behind the sticks pretty much this whole game. They need to stop
right
here
now,
to kind of create a third and forever. But, yeah, the clock is not their friend right now. It's running out fast.
Yeah, I don't think North Central cares about the sticks right now.
Nope.
It's all about time.
Goodness.
And
oh, my goodness.
Lennon's just going to get the first down right here.
Wow.
He's going to need some ice on after this one. But what a game. I can't believe this kid is only a freshman.
Will, you might want to give him
I wonder what kind of NIL deal they gave him to go to North Central, huh? Holy cow!
Chicagoland pizza for life. I don't know, man. It's something else.
Man, go watch this kid's high school highlight tape.
Yeah,
it's nuts.
I have a question that might be considered politically incorrect, but
oh boy,
I don't know.
I can't bleep you. It's live. Go.
So one of the things that back in the day that I would notice about teams like Mount Union and others that were sort of top of D3 when I was playing or recently graduated from college, and it seemed like the model was you have to recruit FCS level guys to come to D1 to be able to compete and get to this level of kind of Division III superiority. Do you mean there aren't a lot of D3 teams that I know about that have some of this kind of size, and so it does seem like because of the lack of D2 and FCS schools in the Midwest that this is what you get. You get these gigantic D3 powerhouse teams, and it seems like that's really the ticket to success to get to the Stag Bowl. It's working for Mary and Baylor down in Texas too. They don't have a lot of other D2 FCS competition. Do you guys agree with that? I mean, I know maybe it's not the most PC thing to say, but it seems kind of what the sport has been for a while and continues.
No, that's the one issue we have in Ohio, to be honest with you. And I think size-wise, that's why we don't have the 6'5" offensive linemen in the OAC, is because there's so many Division II schools out this way. I mean, I think there's 13 in the state of Ohio that are all Division II, and some of them are even good. Some of them are not. Mm-hmm. But if you're an offensive lineman over 6'3", you are going to get a scholarship. And that's kind of hurt, a lot of the OAC.
So just to give you game status here, if you're watching us and not watching the broadcast, 1:41 left, one timeout, Mount Union. If they get a first down, I believe there is nothing left to do because you can take 2 minutes off the clock even with that timeout left that Mount Union has. So if they get this 2 yards or 1 yard left, this game is over. And by the way, I called North Central by 13 yesterday on our show, and that would be what it turns out to be if they don't score. Just saying, guys. Just saying. Even though I lost
They're
the
about to
battle.
score.
Thanks. Appreciate you.
They're about to score, Frank.
Well, we're going to cancel you in a moment here.
Yeah, this isn't a team that's going to take a knee to be a good sport. They'll put it in if they can.
Ian, one of the things,
especially having to go on the road, statement right here.
Ian, one of the things I've noticed about Westminster, and this was my mental note, and this is maybe not just as un-PC if JB's going there, but it's got to be tough sometimes. And Schenectady, Will, I want you to weigh in too, okay, ultimately. Your two areas of the world, school-wise, are not the easiest to recruit to a lot of these A-listers. You had a recruiting day there. That's why you couldn't join us earlier, I know, Ian. What is the selling point that you guys say beyond just football to get these guys to be like, you know what, I can do this. This is a place I want to be.
Yeah, I mean, obviously going in, if you're not a guy from the area and you come and see all the Amish, that is striking. Especially all the kids we get up from the South. That's just one of the first things that they say. But I mean, I think like a lot of guys on our team, school really does matter to us as well, and we have strong programs that we sell on, and that's a big factor. And that's the reality of Division III football, and not a lot of us are looking to play at the next level. Not just the NFL, but even like CFL, stuff like that. So I think it's stuff that gets considered for guys that we look at. Like, we want to get guys that care about school and want to care about their education too. So I think that's a big selling point, at least with Westminster and what we have academically.
Same thing, Schenectady there.
That.
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, Union is one of very few schools to offer a liberal arts education with engineering. So that's a big selling factor. And it's also the mother of fraternities and sororities in the United States, which I mean, unfortunately, a lot of kids on our team do join fraternities, and that is part of their college experience. But on their recruiting visit, the social scene becomes very clear that they can have a good time because you better love football to be playing in Schenectady. I'm going to tell you that. There's not much really to offer in Schenectady. So I think a combination of social life and academics is a good fit for football players looking to play at the Division III level at Union College.
Yeah. I think the one plus we have, with Grove City.
Why are they not using a timeout, guys? Real quick before we do this, why wouldn't you use the timeout there? Weird. Go ahead, Ian. Sorry about that.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, with Grove City being up the road, we at least have that. It's like 15 minutes away with the outlets and everything, and other stuff around. But yeah, in New Wilmington, two-road town, not a lot to talk about in New Willie. So
it's a nice place to visit, though. Let me tell you, I absolutely enjoyed my visit there. And there's your ball game.
There it is.
Yeah.
I'll take lower scoring, but yeah, great battle though. It's not too often you see Mount Union lose by 13, so got to credit the Cardinals. They're good.
I've been saying it all season long. This North Central team is different, even with the freshman quarterback at the helm.
Well, we got the Whitewater game coming up, which, remember, Whitewater got trounced in the 2019 Stag Bowl. First, they've got to make it through Mary Hardin Baylor today, and you wonder if that result will change at all if they have to rematch on Friday night. It's going to be interesting to see it. So let's go around the horn one final time here. And, guys, we really do appreciate you joining us. Dean Paul and also Pat Coleman earlier for joining us as we have a final now in this game. 26-13. We'll start with you, Ian, newest on the block, joining us. Your thoughts on the 2021 fall season and, what you're looking forward to next year at this point.
Well, personally, I'm obviously proud that we were co-champions again, back-to-back champions with the spring and the fall. But I think, we feel going forward, our next goal is to get in the playoffs. And then in terms of Division III football in general, I'd just say North Central is a very impressive team, and I think they should be the favorites no matter who wins the next game.
I like the bold statement. Coach, go ahead.
Oh, first off, thank you for doing this and doing all you guys do for Division III football. I really appreciate it. Appreciate the coverage, and I can't even get my local newspaper to put a story on us, and you guys covered it, so I really appreciate that. But looking to continue to develop great men here at Heidelberg, and hopefully have an opportunity to play in these type of games and beat that purple school out there. But it's what a great two teams we had to watch today. Really impressed with both teams, and kudos to North Central and their coaching staff and their players, and they showed a great performance today because obviously I know how good Mount Union is firsthand, and really impressive, and I'm really excited to see these guys next week. I think watching this game kind of sealed it that I'll be out there Friday night out in Canton.
I'll see you there. Who else will see you there? This guy, Mr. Will Bellamy. Will, what are your thoughts, though, before we sign off here?
To wrap up, I would just say what a refreshment it was to have the opportunity to go out there and compete and play the game we love this season after a tough 2020 COVID year. Other than that, I've made my statement. I think North Central is just in a different category right now. But yeah, I'm looking forward to being at the Stag Bowl at the Hall of Fame Stadium, and it should be a good one.
It's clear Luke Lannon is favoring his right shoulder. He wouldn't even wrap it around his teammate a second ago to hug him. So that's going to be a part of his story coming into this week, is how much of a ding he did take, and whoever they play will obviously be watching that as well. It'll be interesting. Ian, are you coming out to the Stag Bowl, or what's your story?
I will not be out there. I'll be back home. That'd be a pretty far drive from the middle of PA. But I'll definitely be watching it, paying attention. So.
We'll send you our best from out there. Perhaps we'll see what happens with the All-America teams, etc. See if Westminster gets some nods on that. And again, folks, we appreciate you joining us, and stay tuned for our coverage this week for the Stag Bowl. This watch party, a little bit of a beta test. I think it went pretty well. We might do it again next year. Thanks, guys, and have a great weekend.
All right.
Later.
Thanks, Frank.
Thanks.